talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan van range. Scoring a winning hat-trick of performance, payload and price. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. It's our understanding that Mo Salah is expected to stay at Liverpool beyond the January transfer window. Isak's suspected broken leg means the club are unlikely to let him leave. That's despite his claim the club have thrown him under the bus following some time on the bench. But Martin O'Neill believes Salah should only return to the starting 11 after issuing a sincere apology to Arne Slot.
I don't think that this would have happened quite some years ago. I think a player, number one, probably wouldn't have stepped out there. But secondly, if he did he would have had to apologise pretty quickly. And if the apology has been accepted by all concerned, particularly the manager, then get on with things.
What about Martin's former side, Aston Villa? Can they push on from last season and genuinely challenge for a title in 44 years? Simon Jordan had his say.
It feels to me that Emery is turning water into wine, and how long that stays, I don't know. But what it does do is it adds a different conundrum to the title race, because it makes Villa, the outsiders, look like they're competing for a Premier League title.
Meanwhile, Mark Butcher said he never fancied a first England Ashes away series win in 15 years, but he didn't expect it to be as bad as it's turned out.
England's sort of attempt to rewrite the rules of Test match cricket and Test match engagement has kind of now really been put to bed. When faced with the toughest opposition, this sort of all-out attack method has been found wanting.
Brendan McCullum is adamant he wants to remain as head coach, but admits his future is now in the hands of the ECB. There's more on the talkSPORT Cricket YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
A major incident's been declared in Shropshire where a 50-metre sinkhole swallowed at least 2 narrowboats, and motorists could be paying over the odds at pumps. More from the news team at 5:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, your go-to destination for quality tyres from great brands like Continental. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Showers easing in Northern Ireland and Scotland. A few showers affecting Cornwall. Elsewhere, cloud clearing for a brighter afternoon.
This is Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs with you through until 4 here on talkSPORT. Where this afternoon, Andy, please tell us what's coming up.
Well, coming up over the next 3 hours, Danny Kelly goes game by game through the Premier League weekend so far. We'll preview tonight's remaining match between Fulham and Forest, and former Bournemouth midfielder turned nutritionist Mark Pugh on Pep's festive food warning to his players.
That's right, yeah. Going to get the old pincers out, isn't he? We're also after tales of being overdressed for the match. Andy Brassett will guide us around Europe, and we'll have all the big transfer stories of the day.
Yes, gathering pace. There's all this plus Unai Emery's biographer Guillaume Balaguer on Villa's great turnaround, which he predicted. We'll get a neutral's take on the Ashes, and we'll ask Hearts fan Mark Donaldson whether he's daring to dream.
Yeah, they are going rather well at the moment, of the Jambos. So that's all to come. It is 7 minutes past 1. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Andy.
Yes, good afternoon, Paul. And yes, I was looking forward to the match on Saturday, but I had a slightly difficult morning.
So it was one of those sorts of mornings that only kind of you really have.
Yes, basically. What I did, I managed to... I didn't realise at the time, I dropped my wallet in the street.
You've done this a few times. Why don't you find an alternative?
Well, money belt.
Well, yeah, maybe come to that, is it? Nice old money belt.
Really, honestly. So,
because you've had to change your cards a few. This is about the third or fourth time.
Actually, it's the fourth time,
mate.
And of course, each time it happens,
you change all your cards and
change everything, all your subscription.
Why'd you keep doing it? Can you not get deeper pockets?
No. I had some gloves in my pocket. I put the thing in. No, what the problem was that
Here we go.
No, because
Strap yourselves in. It won't be straightforward.
I was in one shop.
Yeah.
And
not Paolo one shop.
No, just one shop.
Okay.
A shop in Chiswick.
Oh yeah.
And then I went to Marks and Spencer's.
Okay.
When I get to Marks and Spencer's, I had to put a few things in my basket. I go to pay. I go, well, where's my wallet?
Oh no.
Just had it in the other shop.
Oh no.
So I go back and I trace my steps. I go back into the shop. I walk exactly where I've walked. Unbeknownst to me, this bloke's picked it up.
Yeah.
Not only has he picked it up, but he's taken it home. And
it's a nice thing to do.
Well, it was sort of, except I was watching.
This is a good Samaritan or a bad Samaritan story.
I was watching my account and I was thinking, look, if anybody's spent, I've done this before. I've lost the wallet. It's handed back to me. I've stopped here. Had to change all my cards. I thought, I won't bother with that. I'll just see if anybody's using it. If they are, I'll stop the card straight away. And then I get a text saying, your cards have been cancelled. So the bloke rang up Lloyd's and cancelled the.
So there was nothing in your wallet with your phone number on it, only our contacting you.
Apparently phoned talkSPORT, but they didn't know. I think they knew who I was.
Well, I'm not sure. They phoned talkSPORT and they didn't know you were.
Well, he said they didn't.
Been here 25 years.
I know, but he said they couldn't help, and then so I had to go and get the wallet off him. And meanwhile, I'm thinking, oh God, why didn't you just hand it back in the shop? Why did you have to actually cancel my cards? I spent all yesterday trying to. It took me ages to do it all. There's so many things that are.
Did you give him when you saw him? Were you a bit Larry David about it?
I was a bit.
What did you say?
No,
you could have just get.
I wish you hadn't done that.
God, Andy, he's done a nice thing.
Well,
he could have gone off and had a pre-Christmas
busybody, wasn't he? Really annoying. It was so annoying. So then,
where do you stand on this, folks? Let's ask. I mean, on the face
they're going to stand on the side of the bloke. I know
not necessarily. Not necessarily.
I would.
So you've heard the scenario. There's a show in this, definitely. You've heard this bit all about him. So you find the wallet. You think, well, no, I don't want anybody. I found someone's credit card a little while ago near the train station. I looked up their name to see if their address came up, and it didn't. So when I got into town, I went into the branch of Barclays where they banked and said, one of your customers has lost this. So I handed it in. I mean, it's only so much you can do.
I know.
I mean, the bloke tried, Andy. He contacted talkSPORT.
I know.
He couldn't have done any more.
I know.
He went out of his way not to cancel your cards.
But
where do you is Andy right? Is he wrong? Bloke's a bit of a busybody apparently for doing it. He's probably listening today. Mate, I think you did the right thing.
I don't think he's listening.
You were great. Well, he knows who you are.
He does now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A busybody.
Anyway,
okay, morally, where do you stand? Is Andy right, or is Andy hopelessly wrong?
So I was in a pretty bad mood and pretty stressed after all this, running about, phoning, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then I sit down to watch the game, 20 minutes with 2-0.
You're 2-0 down. This day's getting better, isn't it?
I'm going back to bed.
Right.
So I sort of went back to bed and had a kip.
Yeah.
When I woke up, it was 2-2.
So you actually went? Really? You did actually go back to bed?
Oh, I did, yeah. And
well done.
And then I woke up and it was about 10, 15 minutes left, 10 minutes left. It was 2-2. As soon as I turned on, Harvey Barnes nearly scored.
I know.
Oh, yeah, they're great.
Go back to bed.
Go back to sleep.
Okay, where do you stand on the great Andy Jacobs lost wallet dilemma? talksport.com/H&J.
No, it was very nice.
Text to it's too late now. Text 81089, tweet to TSH&J. We'll get Danny Kelly's considered take on that. He normally listens to this bit, so we'll find out.
Combine that with the fact that because I lost my licence last week for 6 months for totting up speeding. Minor speeding offences.
A lot more points than Wolves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so Sue's been driving me around all weekend.
Wow.
And I'm sort of like a human sat nav because she doesn't know where to go. So
right.
I don't know if brake is in Garmin software. I'm not sure it is.
The third one with the blind panic.
Oh, it was.
Overdressed for sport. Let's show you a picture. If you're watching on Connect TV, you can find it online. It's Kate Beckinsale with her daughter, the fine actress Kate Beckinsale. Went to a match. She went and saw the game between the Clippers and the Lakers. And there's a little picture. I'd say that's overdressed for the match. She's wearing a full gown and a sort of, what do you call those things?
It's like wearing a dinner suit behind the goal.
What do you call the things like the fluffy sort of things you put around you, like a stole, but it's, what is it? But it's
like a lace.
It's like a lace. A lace frou-frou. There we are, Andy Jacobs, fashion expert.
Calling it that, I've no idea.
And she's got it looks like a leather dress. It looks like she's going... sometimes, what I'm interested
bit
in,
over the top, really.
if you were going to the match but you got a black tie do in the evening, has anybody ever unironically gone to the game in black tie?
That's a good question.
So, have you ever been really overdressed for the match, and in what circumstances? A bit like Kate there. Do let us know. talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J. Because even if you were going on to a black tie event, standing there in the full Harry Gibbs watching a football match on the terraces would be weird, wouldn't it? People would think you're on a wind-up, but it's just, Anyway, let us know. talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J, and do weigh in, of course, on the great Andy Jacobs dilemma.
It's in the old days of those old films, everybody wore a suit and tie.
Oh, yeah, and they had a woodbine on as well, but you don't do that anymore, do you, really? So, we're going to be joined by Danny Kelly. And he's going to talk us through all the games so far. We're going to look ahead to tonight. We're going to be chatting to Guillaume Balaguer, author of Rise of the Villains, inside Unai Emery's Aston Villa. He was here when it was all going pear-shaped. And I said, what's the mood like in the camp? And he said, it's all very chilled, led by Unai. They're going to be fine. They know they're going to be fine. I'm confident they're going to be fine. And it turns out they were fine.
Yeah.
Probably more than fine. But Andy's got some interesting numbers to run past Guillaume. And we'll be chatting to him next. Later on, Andy Brassel guides us around Europe and all manner of other stuff this afternoon, all the latest transfer stories. And more on Pep, telling his players not to eat too much at Christmas. Mark Pugh, sports nutritionist these days, foodie footballer.
I'll be telling you later why Roy Keane has turned into Craig Revel Horwood.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
don't touch that dial. Why did he cancel all the cards? Was he protecting them from himself, says Kyle. That's a good point, Carl, I guess. I feel like we should get the guy on if he wants to ring in.
I've only got one key card. So
okay.
He cancelled that one. Yeah.
Right. So that was one card.
Well, he cancelled the other. I don't use the other one that he cancelled.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Talksport.com, text 81089, tweet TSH and J. We'll talk Villa next. We're here with our good friends at Tool Station. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Tool Station. Just before we chat to Guillaume about Villa, let's check in with Chris Murphy watching the darts at Ali Pali. Chris.
Hi guys, the second round continues here as we see what remains from the rubble of yesterday when third favourite Gerwyn Price suffered a shock defeat to Dutchman Wesley Plaisir. That's in the same section of the draw as Luke Littler. He got safely through to set up a post-Christmas meeting with Mensa Suljovic, who was accused of cheating for his slow play by his defeated opponent Joe Cullen. The Iceman may be out, but the delightfully nicknamed Darren Ice Cold Beverage is just about still in, while the Ali Pali crowd are enjoying their first of many, I'm sure, watching him take on Latvia's Madis Razma. Beveridge has been caught cold, though. He lost all three legs in the opening set, with Razma averaging 100, and the Latvian has doubled his advantage and is now 2 legs away from victory. Also this afternoon, Vessel Nyman takes on Gabriel Clements, and the Kenyan character David Manua is back. He takes on Dutchman Kevin Dukes, and James Wade faces rapid Ricky Evans as live commentary on talkSPORT 2.
PDC World Darts Championship update on talkSPORT with Village Hotels. Hit the bullseye this New Year's Eve. Party at one of our New Year's Eve events. 34 locations across the UK. Find out more at villagehotels.com.
Now, when our next guest came in to chat to us about his book Rise of the Villains, inside Unai Emery's Aston Villa Revolution, Villa were not in great nick. They were off the back of a bad run. At one point, they were down to 19th. They picked up so few points in their first 5 games, and we were saying to Guillaume Balaguer, what's the mood? And he said, yeah, they're fine. They're very chilled. They'll be back. They'll be all right. And I think we raised a bit of a Roger Moore eyebrow, but so it proved. So we thought we'd get him back after yesterday's victory, and he joins us now. Hi, Guillaume.
Hello, Andy. I also remember you asking, is it the right time to bring a book out?
Yeah. Well, it was the right.
Well, it's worked well for Christmas, hasn't it? Certainly from your point of view. Yeah, that's true.
It's been a rise from the moment we spoke, actually.
Yeah, and of course he's got a great reputation, deservedly. They are on a great run. They've won 10 in a row. You can't deny that. But watching the game yesterday, Guillaume, something struck me that, you know, it reminded me of when Chelsea were under Pochettino. They'd win games because of Cole Palmer. The rest of the team weren't that great. They were often not in games. The other team might be better. And I feel this is a bit like this with Morgan Rogers. And when you look at Villa's XG, it's 15th in the table. And they weren't the better side yesterday. They weren't, but they won the game.
Yes, they are learning to do that. I know what you mean, that there is one player that is ahead of the rest by a mile, and that's Morgan Rogers, no doubt about it. But I think the rest of the team, not only they putting out, and this is similar to Spurs as well under Pochettino, their best version. Every player's at the best form of their career. As a team, they're so solid that if you're going to beat Villa, you better have your best day. And they won't be badly beaten anymore. They are solid, they are consistent, they know what they have to do. There is not much difference between the first 11 and those on the bench, not that much difference. So, you know, there's a possibility of rotating. But generally, they've all bought quite clearly the idea of Unai Emery, and will go to war for it.
I mean, there's no question, if Villa beat Chelsea on Saturday, they will be 10 points ahead. There'll be a clear gap between the top 3 and the rest. And it's a vital game. But if they lose, of course, obviously it pulls them back towards the pack.
Yeah.
But it's a big game.
It certainly is. Yeah. And what made you so confident, Guillaume, from what you were seeing around the club and chatting to the manager, that they were going to turn this around?
You would be as well. If you've been a whole year seeing the work that has been put in, that means the filtering of players, the ones that accept the regime and that they can improve, they stay. The ones they don't, they just have to go. The fact that the methodology is analysis, and there's nothing after that. There's no magical formula. It's more analysis. So I remember going after, I think, 4 games not winning in the Premier League at Bodymore Heath, and I got a big telling off from Unai. I think I told you, in which I was saying, I'm sensing that people want a bit of change. Wouldn't you change some of the things that you're doing? And he looked at me with like a killing eye and didn't say anything for a while, but then came back to me later on and says, you shouldn't do this. You come in because I allow you to come in, but don't bring negativity into this place.
Whoa.
Don't bring doubt. Get out.
Get it. So it is a like a temple. I don't call it. It's a closed world in which he leads And he leads through positivity and the conviction that they can come out of it working and working and working.
What was interesting as well, after the match, he was really critical of Morgan Rogers, saying, in the first half, said he didn't do what I want. I know he scored a great goal, but he didn't do what I want. He was much better in the second half. He's really demanding, isn't he? There's no question about that.
It depends. So with John McGinn, he will always have a go. There is no carrot. Just stick and stick and stick. With Morgan, it's mostly stick because he knows he can give more. Until somebody, one of his coaches, says, "No, I think you've just gone over the board now." So, all right, he'll just bring some carrot, put his arm around Morgan, and then after a while, more of it. And I think Morgan Rogers accepted it. John McGinn accepted it. For others that didn't, John Duran, where is he now? So that's the selection, the natural selection of this world.
Do you feel that they're in the title race? I mean, they clearly are. They're 3 points behind Arsenal.
They have to be.
And one behind City. But do you feel, having been around the place and been around the manager for as long as you were, that they can sustain this?
You have to say that there is a feeling of what if we continue like this, if we're like this in the last month. But that conversation doesn't last long. So I have to go with, no, they're not candidates. Let's talk a month before the end of the season. But certainly what they have got is the impression that this team is better than everybody thought, or they are performing better than everybody thought at the beginning of the season. There's no doubt about that. Plus the Europa League. There's a feeling that this could be a special year. Being in the Champions League every year will be a dream. Being in Europe is almost like a necessity. Winning the Europa League, it will just give everybody prestige, more time, better contracts, and the possibility, of course, if it fails in the Premier League, to actually be in the Champions League, which is everybody's target.
Well, I think they will be in the top four, and I think they've got a very good chance of winning the Europa League. I mean, there's no reason why they shouldn't.
Yeah. Do you think
they did blow up a little bit towards the end of last season because he is demanding and he does tend to pick the same players?
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if they can avoid that.
Do you see them strengthening much in January, Guillaume?
Quite clearly, I'm in an airport.
Sorry, got an announcement.
But the limits of Aston Villa are there for everybody to see. Everybody knows it. They cannot go and get the best in the market. But they have a strategy. With the new president of football operations, Roberto Lave, the intention is to have a medium-term plan by which they find other Morgan Rogers, and selling, it will always be part of the process. It will be painful sales sometimes, others, like Jacob Bradley, which let everybody down. Let's see when Morgan Rogers have to go, but at the moment it seems like everybody it's in the right place at the right time, and they all want to continue being part of this project.
Yeah, I mean, bang for buck, was he 18 million quid from Borough? What an amazing bit of business Morgan Rogers was.
Just before they bought them, Chelsea whacked Middlesbrough in the League Cup. He scored the most wonderful goals.
Yeah.
Oh, blimey, this bloke's good.
Yeah, he certainly is. He's a great piece of business.
Morgan Rogers was one of those that you cannot. You would have a director of football. You would have all the plans and all the dates and everything, but this was on the back of an FA Cup game, and it's like this guy not only runs a lot and is involved in a lot, but this guy actually does it at the minute 97 as well. So there was a chances right at the end, and one of them involved Morgan Rogers running as he had done. So okay, physically he can get it. I can teach him how to get into my system. He seems to have a really good attitude. He comes from Manchester City, a lot of things to go for. So they went for it. And it is one of the successes of his regime.
Guillaume, we'll let you get your flight. Have a good Christmas. Guillaume's book, Rise of the Villains, inside Unai Emery's Aston Villa, is available now. And I'm sure a lot of Villa fans will have it in their stocking, certainly after the run they've gone on. Thanks, Guillaume. There we are. There's Guillaume Balaguer there at the airport. Our thanks to him. Danny Kelly's going to join us. We'll be kicking off with that match, and we have talked a fair bit of Villa. We'll get his take on that and a lot more besides. We'll go game by game through the Premier League weekend after the news headlines.
Mo Salah, we understand, will not be leaving Liverpool in January, thanks in part to Alexander Isak's injury. Salah has a mega money offer to move to the Saudi Pro League that will stay on the table next summer. A team that should be making moves in January, as they did last season, are Aston Villa. Can they sustain a challenge for a first title in 44 years?
It feels that this is Arsenal's time, because it feels they've got a bigger and better squad with more depth, and when the muck and bullets start flying in around February and March, it feels to me that Emery is turning water into wine.
Meanwhile, Ruben Amorim is drawing praise from Simon for coming down hard on the entitlement of some of his Man United players, and Martin O'Neill is in full agreement.
You've got two young kids at Manchester United tweeting something. Is that what they're on these particular
Instagram,
days? Yeah,
Instagram.
Something like this here about what they've done in the game.
Yeah.
They haven't done a thing. Entitlement, it's rife.
To Jake Paul now and his dismantled jaw following that right-hand blow from Anthony Joshua. Where does it leave the sport of boxing? Well, who better to ask than the Omen, Spencer Oliver.
One shot's been landed here. Jake Paul's had his jaw broken in two places. Because he wanted to push it to the extreme level, taking on a live heavyweight fighter. So we've got to be careful there, because God forbid anything more serious than that happens. Boxing goes into disrepute.
There's more on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
Goal number 149 in a City shirt for Erling Haaland. 19 Premier League goals this season. Manchester City 3, West Ham 0.
Bournemouth 1, Burnley 1. Armando Broja.
All over here now. Wolves 0, Brentford 2. Keane Lewis Potter has scored his second of the afternoon.
Wolves are going to get to Christmas without having won in the Premier League.
Ultimately, defence is on top. Brighton 0, Sunderland 0.
This is incredible. Spurs are down to 9, and it's from Nero, who has been sent off. More problems for Thomas Frank to work out. Quite an evening. Spurs 1, Liverpool 2.
Stack with the last kick of the game seals a 4-1 victory for Leeds United.
Victor Gyökeres from the spot slams it down the middle and puts Arsenal into the lead. Arsenal will be Christmas number 1.
Aston Villa 2, Manchester United 1. Morgan Rogers at the double. Within 3 points of Premier League leaders Arsenal, and make it 10 wins on the spin for Unai Emery's men.
Yep, another eventful weekend. Let's go game by game now with Danny Kelly. Good afternoon, Danny.
Hi, chaps. Everybody, all good?
Not too bad, thank you. I don't know if you heard the great wallet dilemma a little bit earlier on. Were you tuned in at that point or not?
No, I was doing intense preparation for this.
Of course, you know. Cut a long story short, Andy lost his wallet. Somebody found it, then they cancelled his cards, and he's a bit put out because they cancelled his cards. Why did they? I think it was a nice act.
I do too, yeah.
Dave Tully, our mate, has come up with a perfect reply to that, though. He says very, very briefly that, let me just find it. He says, it makes zero sense. He had the cards in his possession. Why would he cancel them? Who was going to abuse them? So,
well, somebody else made that point. Maybe he was. I'm sure he wasn't tempted. Anyway, let's move on. Everybody's been weighing in on it, but let's deal with the football first. We're just chatting to Guillaume Balaguer there, who wrote the book on Unai Emery and Villa this season. I mean, there is only one place to start, really. It's just Morgan Rogers. We've been on the wrong end of his finishing. And it seems people don't learn. Unless you get out to him early or you double up on him at the moment, you're not going to stop him scoring.
Yeah, because he's combining his undoubted skill. He's a very big man, and when he belts the thing, it stays belted, doesn't it? Once it's going, the goalkeeper might as well, get into the crowd and applaud it because he's not stopping it. it's interesting, isn't it? You get moments when players suddenly are in almost supernatural form, and the great ones continue it then, don't they? And I'll be interested to see if Morgan Rogers, because you've got to look, injuries play their part as well. Cole Palmer was in this kind of form 18 months ago. You just thought everything this lad touches is going into the goal now.
I made that point, Danny, that basically Cole Palmer carried Chelsea at that time, and I think if you look at Villa and their stats and everything, he's doing the same. I mean, they weren't the better team yesterday, but they won the game. No, they were
not the better team. Manchester United played well, I thought, for much of the game. And in the end, and this is, I guess, somewhat of an indictment of one of the clubs that likes to talk about themselves as being the biggest club in the world. Manchester United just ran out of, oven-ready Premier League players as the game unfolded. The injury to Bruno Fernandes, I think, I don't know how serious it is, but it's a real problem for them because he plays every minute of every game, which may be part of the issue in itself. And I'm not a doctor, but coming just after days after the interview where he says he was hurt by Manchester United trying to offload him in the summer, and suddenly he's got an injury that he's never suffered before. It's a complete coincidence, unless you don't believe in complete coincidences. Yeah. But I mean, talk about carrying teams. Bruno's another one who, without him, Manchester United at the moment just don't look to have the same kind of equipment. But you could argue, Paul.
Yes.
You could argue that Morgan Rogers is converting Aston Villa's excellent play by getting the goals. But equally, if you take him those goals away, they were not the best team.
Well, Cunha yesterday, Cunha had chances. If he put them away, put the early one away, that could have been a different game.
I think he had Winnie the Pooh's honey pot on his head.
I think he did. Yeah, that header at the end. Yeah.
It was so bad.
Yeah,
the commentators were sort of saying, well, why they brought on Lissandro Martinez? But I thought he was excellent in midfield. And,
he did well, didn't he?
And now it's Mount's chance to shine. I mean, he was so much the nearly man yesterday. But I thought United should
The other thing is, it takes a player of a certain stature just to kind of stop on the pitch. I mean, John McGinn would have been completely within his rights to just taking the ball and ran towards goal. But he just sort of stopped. He didn't put the ball out, did he, Fernandes? He just sort of stood there and, I've hurt my hamstring. Well, I best kick it out for you then. It was all very Corinthian, all very FIFA fair play. But
well, I think Bruno's been around a very long time now in the Premier League. He's one of the senior men in the Premier League, and there's a great deal of respect for him, even though at times he can drive you mad with his antics and attempting. I mean, it's quite a trick, isn't it, to be the best player on the pitch and referee the match at the same time? That is busy, isn't it? But yeah. That was old pros being kind to each other. I wonder if it'd been a cup final, would it have been quite as easy to do.
Sorry, I was going to move on next game.
I was just going to briefly say that at half-time, watching Roy Keane, I said he's turned into Craig Revel Harewood.
Yes, not Craig Revel Harewood. Marlon Craig Revel Harewood. Exactly. What are you trying to do?
Because like Craig, he used to tell it like it is, really lay it on the line. But like Craig, Roy's now, what he does, he'll slag somebody off and then he'll say, but he's a good lad and he was trying quite hard.
And then give him 8.
Yeah. He's sort of like, because that's the way now. You can't just be horrible to somebody. You've got to be nice to them as well.
Even Roy's got to be nice. Everton 0, Arsenal 1. And it's interesting, I was in exchange with our Arsenal supporting producer today, Georgia, and I'm the one saying, if you can come through these games when you're not playing well and still get results, that's a good sign. I think they're feeling a lot of very anxious Arsenal fans, and they're not playing very well and they can't see them coming through it currently. But they are winning games and they're not playing well. It's 2 weeks in a row they've managed to do it.
Well, Paul, you were laying on Georgia there the benefit of your many more years of watching football, because she doesn't yet understand that to win a title you're going to have to win games where you don't play particularly well. I thought this was a really important win for Arsenal because suddenly they weren't top of the table for the first time, what seems like months to me. And it is easy for one of these games to get away from you. Everton's a difficult place to go to. The crowd are often very much in the game. But they found a way. And sometimes at Georgia, you can't just look like Brazil 70 or Barcelona 15 years ago. You just have to scrape these points out of the cold, hard Premiership ground.
Yeah, I thought they were very lucky.
Yeah, you do need a bit of luck as well. So you need...
They get a jammy
what was Jake O'Brien doing?
Yeah.
I mean...
And then they should have. I think that was a penalty on Barry, wasn't it? From Saliba.
Yes,
so you often see those given. I mean, not that they should be, because I'm not a big fan of kicking someone else's leg.
Save the refereeing for the first game.
We'll come on to that. But you need a bit of luck, and you need to dig it out. And they did have chances to get the second, and it wouldn't have been an issue.
Contrary to the penalty claim that Everton had, they hit the post twice, Arsenal as well. And if you're going away from home, winning and hitting the opponent's frame twice as well, you can consider that's not a bad day's work.
I mean, Everton,
Afcon
and Kieran Dewsbury all being out, you could really see the effect of that. They did look a bit toothless, Everton, didn't they, on the night? So
there's so much going on between Afcon, European matches on a Thursday in the Premier League, the knock-on of so much football and different tournaments is really starting to affect the Premier League itself.
Leeds 4, Palace 1. Our own Tony Cascarino in his Times column today saying, is there a better header of football in the Premier League at the moment than Dominic Calvert-Lewin? He is on a rich vein of form, isn't he?
Jordan-esque hang time.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable the way he gets up and stays up. It's brilliant.
And he's benefited from the change of system that Leeds, perhaps in desperation, implemented, whereby because they've got two wide men now in the fullbacks in a 3-5-2, there are more crosses going in. I mean, it's more fashionable this year to cross the ball early than it has been for years in the Premier League. So people who are decent in the air, once they get used to it again, are going to be, at a premium. And he's really, really good at it. Bear in mind as well that centre-backs over the past decade and a half have been required more to be footballers playing the ball out than they have to head away endless crosses. And they're not used to it either. And he's a beneficiary of that as well. But it was a brilliant win for Leeds, and the goals you'll rightly say are all memorable. At the other end of the scale, you've got Crystal Palace, who, as I was saying before, they're definitely being affected now by their European adventure.
Oh, yeah.
And the disappointment of not getting through the automatic qualification of the Conference League. And as well, we all know, we all want to be led, whether by mummy or matron or our managers at work, whoever it is. As long as Oliver Glasner's contract is up in the air, Palace's form you'll always be looking at it and think, are they 5% off it? It's just not settled, is it?
I mean, that Conference League, they've not won 7 of the 8 after Conference League games. That was Thursday night, and they play again. They play Arsenal tomorrow in the Carabao Cup.
I thought it was, they haven't got the squad to deal with this.
But finally, Leeds give themselves a real chance, Danny, aren't they?
They really are, and I suppose the team, and we'll get on to them, that's looking upwards now with trepidation rather than anticipation of the new year must be West Ham United. And we'll get on to them in a second. But Leeds, we said it about 3 weeks ago. If they could find a way to turn their really enormous effort they put into games into goals, and at the moment Dominic Calvert-Lewin's forehead is doing the business for them.
We'll look at Spurs Liverpool next. We're going game by game. Sorry, Danny. Going game by game through the Premier League weekend with Danny Kelly. We're here with Tool Station. Pick up your wet weather essentials today. Next stop, Tool Station. Paul Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. We're going game by game through the Premier League weekend. Danny Kelly is with us. Fourth game up is Spurs 1, Liverpool 2. The match I was at on Saturday evening. Blimey, where to start? It was eventful, Danny, I think it's fair to say. How are you viewing it?
You were in the stadium. I can't imagine what the atmosphere was like, because this was so far, I think, the nuttiest game of football in the Premier League season. And I've already on the View from Lane podcast had a chance to discuss the various issues going on here, whether Spurs were victims of their own ill discipline or whether the officials just completely lost the plot. Because in one way you could argue that, and the other way, I mean, I've got to be honest here, Spurs got 2 red cards. They could, in another set of circumstances, have got 4, couldn't they? Because we have to discuss this. Van der Ven's tackle to try and prevent Isak from scoring was a complete accident, of course, but if that was anywhere else on the pitch, he'd have been in real trouble. And we have this tradition in English football. The defender has to go for that ball, regardless of what the outcome might be for anybody else, because if he doesn't, he'll be called a coward. And the result in this case, horribly, is a serious injury.
In the act
to
of
his opponent.
It was unfortunate.
Yeah, in the act of shooting, I think you're cut some slack.
You are.
But I think in the act of passing, Danny, I totally agree.
He would have been in real trouble. He would have been in real trouble.
It would have been different.
And then we saw the cynicism of professional footballers and the weakness of our officials when, with Spurs down to 9, everyone knows he's not going to send another player off because we're heading to Sheffield United territory then, aren't we? And Benton Kerr's assault on Kirkes on the touchline when he knew that he had a free hit.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a Spurs fan. I wish he hadn't done that. That was a horrible and, in fact, again, cowardly thing to do when the fella is concentrating on kicking the ball at the line, to just lamp him like that. Just ridiculous.
Yeah, the worst one was the Simons one. Van der Ven, he had to go to the ball. At least the ball was in the same postcode, which it wasn't.
I mean, the Simons thing, people didn't see this on Match of the Day. He'd already fallen over twice. He falls over a lot. I think he needs to have a chat with his boot people to get slightly longer studs.
Again, I've said this earlier on, that this has been coming in his desperation to show his commitment to the cause and his learning about the physical hurly-burly of the Premier League. He's been throwing himself into tackles.
Absolutely.
There was one against Brentford where he got 60,000 people applauding him, where he put ball and man over the touchline. I thought, that's really good, but if you mistime that, you're going somewhere else. Other than you'll be on the naughty step rather than being on a pedestal for it. I don't know what he was trying to do. What was his plan? All he could do there was, from the angle he was coming at. Now, look, the officials, you could argue, got it wrong as well, though, because there wasn't excessive force. There wasn't intent.
Well, the referee gave a yellow.
No, that's a clear red card.
The trouble is, I think there wasn't intent, but it was reckless because he's out of control. And it did endanger him potentially. You do his Achilles. He's had a bad injury. Took him out for a year. I mean, I watched it. I didn't think in the moment,
but he'd passed the ball. The ball was nowhere near it.
I watched it back at half time, Danny, and I didn't really have a doubt that it was right.
No, the lads in the stadium who I was in touch with on WhatsApp thought it was really harsh. I said, you haven't seen the replays.
Yeah. Well, Christian Romero is a great player, but he's an idiot. And people say, take that out of his game, and you've got a great player who isn't an idiot, potentially.
Paul, the thing is, he doesn't do it for Argentina.
No.
For whatever sets of reasons, he is a much more controlled figure for his country, who, of course, have won 3 major continental and intercontinental trophies with him at the back. He got annoyed because he gave away the first goal with a pass, because Spurs don't have a creative midfielder capable of doing it, and we're down to 10 men, he makes that pass. Then he's annoyed because the second goal for Liverpool should have been disallowed because it was a blatant foul.
It was such a terrible decision. What is the VAR? It went when his 2 hands on the back of somebody
and pushed.
When is that not?
That's the case of the referee maybe saying to the VAR, not enough for me, and then just going with it, not feeling it was enough to get involved.
Sorry, Paul. The trouble is the consequences.
Yeah.
Romero then runs 40 yards to remonstrate with the referee, makes physical contact with him, albeit I don't think very much, and he just gets a yellow card. Of course, what he's really doing is delaying the restart because he wants the VAR to look at the obvious foul.
Yeah.
And it did occur to me, what team will eventually refuse to kick off? They'll say, we want to hear from the VAR about that goal, and we're not going to kick off until we do.
Well, then they look
there?
at every goal.
Yeah, they do. They cite the bar, don't they? The bar being high enough for it to be a clear and obvious error.
Continuing to prove how redundant and ridiculous they are.
And then you look at the penalty that Everton didn't get, for example, and you wonder where the bar is.
It's a clear apology from Howard Webber in his new show.
I'm not so sure, Andy.
Well, should be.
Let's move on to City 3, West Ham 0. Pretty routine win overall. Any resistance that West Ham were hoping to put up was done for after 5 minutes, and that was effectively the game, wasn't it?
You know, they had 3 good opportunities, West Ham, at 2-0. They had a little spell. And this City team, although they're right on Arsenal's heels, they give you a chance. They do.
But that's why they're my favourite City team for some time. They are brilliant footballers, but they're as vulnerable as West Ham were at the back. I mean, I made a note here of a joke, Andy, that you'll have to polish up for me because it's not working yet. They played in a Christmas tree formation, Manchester City, 4-3-2-1. They could have played dressed up as elves the way West Ham defended, couldn't they? Because it wouldn't have made any difference. Both sides were really porous defensively, which made for we knew the result once that Haaland had scored, but both sides give plenty of chances. And that's why City are a real fun team to watch just now. Yeah. And also why Pep's on the pitch afterwards, coaching. I mean, I'm not sure I'd go for this demonstrative coaching directly after the game. I mean, poor old Guardiola, what can he do? He's got to listen to him. Because if he bites back, people saying, there's trouble in paradise, you know?
No, he does a lot of that.
From West Ham's point of view, depending on what happens in the Fulham Forest game tonight, they've
got a decent run of games now, including their cup final against you.
They could be 6 points adrift and all that. So it's looking a bit sketchy for them, isn't it? Full cruise off. It'll be interesting to see if they can generate a bit of cash and spend it in January, get a bit of firepower.
Every time Jared Bowen touches the ball or goes in for a challenge, the West Ham fans must be taking a deep breath. Because if something happened to him, what is left in that team?
No, that is very true. Let's move on finally then to Wolves 0, Brentford 2, and
we both felt the same in this. Yeah, this was Wolves' real chance.
Yes, it is. Brentford away have been well off it. This was their chance to get a bit of confidence up, and they didn't do it. And they just look done now. It's very hard to see how they're going to come back from this.
They're breaking. You think there's been so much football played over the years that it's impossible to break records, but they're really doing it now. 10 successive losses. They've equalled, I think, Sheffield United's 17 without a win. Their next game is at Liverpool, so they'll almost, unless something mad happens, they'll almost certainly break the record in the Premier League for not having a win. So away to Liverpool, their next game. All summed up by the penalty by Strand Larsen, who is apparently a £50 million footballer. Honest to goodness, when they bring out the little kids at half-time to take penalties for charity. Seriously.
Terrible pen,
yeah, absolutely. And afterwards, watching Matt Doherty, I mean, don't come out and do the press conference like that. You'll be depressing the rest of the team. I mean, he was looking like he was on the verge of tears for what's happening now. I know he's a Wolves man. He spent a lot of his career there. He's in tears. Just shocking.
I mean, he seemed to be hinting at the fact there's a few there maybe not as committed as
basics,
he is.
Though, Wolves. Defences that let the ball bounce twice, generally.
And so what do you do in Jan? AU's going to want to come. B... you might pick up some loans. Is that going to be enough? Do you start planning for next year?
You prepare for the division below, and that means as much getting rid of players that you don't think will be up for the twice-a-week challenge of the Championship, and bringing in some that for whom Wolves are still a big name in English football. And you can get yourself ready for that, as I say, the physical confrontation of a year in the Championship.
Newcastle 2, Chelsea 2 is up next, the one that Andy slept through. Andy went back to bed at 2-0 and woke up at 2-2. So that's going to be the way forward, Andy.
Only because of the wallet.
As soon as you go behind, go to sleep. And then we'll check out the remaining games. We'll be joined by our own Max Scott, who's on his way to Fulham tonight. He's a big Forest fan. We'll look ahead to the final game. It's live on talkSPORT this evening. But more from Danny after we brought you the sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
In the next hour, we'll get a neutral's take on the Ashes, and Mark Donaldson, big Hearts fan, tells us whether he's daring to dream. That's all after Max Scott with the sports headlines.
Thank you, Paul. Good afternoon. talkSPORT understands Mo Salah will not be leaving Liverpool in January, thanks in part to Alexander Isak's suspected broken leg. Salah has a mega money offer to move to the Saudi Pro League that will stay on the table next summer. There's more on that on the website at talksport.com. Now, a team that should be making moves in January as they did last season are Aston Villa, but can they sustain a challenge for a first title in 44 years?
Because it feels they've got a bigger and better squad with more depth, and when the muck and bullets start flying in around February and March, it feels to me that Emery is turning water into wine.
Martin O'Neill says shrewd January business will mean Villa have every chance. Meanwhile, Ruben Amorim is drawing praise from Simon Jordan for coming down hard on the entitlement of some of his young players, and Martin is in agreement.
You've got two young kids at Manchester United tweeting something. Is that what they're on these particular
Instagram,
days?
Yeah, Instagram.
Something like this here about what they've done in the game.
Yeah.
Haven't done a thing. Entitlement. It's rife.
To Jake Paul now and his dismantled jaw following a solitary right hand from Anthony Joshua. Now, where does it leave the sport of boxing? Here's Spencer Oliver.
And one shot's been landed here. Jake Paul's had his jaw broken in two places. Because he wanted to push it to the extreme level, taking on a live heavyweight fighter. So we've got to be careful there, because God forbid anything more serious than that happens, boxing goes into disrepute.
On the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
talkSPORT with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Showers easing in Northern Ireland and Scotland. A few showers affecting Cornwall. Elsewhere, cloud clearing for a brighter afternoon.
Good afternoon, Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Neil Manthorpe, one of our regular contributors, born here but left as a baby, and really, does a lot of his work in South Africa. So we've got to kind of get a neutral's take on the Ashes from Neil Manthorpe later on. Andy Brassel guides us around Europe. Mark Donaldson, a commentator and presenter for ESPN over in the States, is a huge Hearts fan, and we're going to look at where they're at after that win against Rangers yesterday, and can they go all the way in a year when the old firm aren't quite at it, although Celtic did get their first win under Wilfred Nancy yesterday. But we're going through the Premier League weekend, and Newcastle 2, Chelsea 2, on the face of a very good result, certainly coming from 2-0 down away at Newcastle.
Oh, yeah.
Newcastle throwing points away from a winning position. I think it's 11 points now, so Eddie Howe not happy with that. I think you had a right to be upset about one or two of the refereeing decisions, Andy. Did you? Where did you stand on that?
You know, the one with Chalabar and
it's not shoulder to shoulder, is it? Anywhere else on the pitch, as they say. Let's do the cliche.
The only thing
that's
is,
a free.
I don't think he was getting the ball. The penalty would have been very harsh. But
Danny, where are you on that one?
If we're giving penalties for that, Paul, and I know I take your point about the other parts of the pitch, but the other parts of the pitch don't have the same punishment attached to them, do they? As a direct shot at the goal. So I'm glad he didn't give it for the good of the game overall. But the real issue here is consistency, isn't it? Again, sometimes they get given, sometimes they don't get given. Andy, I don't blame you for going to bed at half-time, because that first half, I thought Newcastle, that was the best all-round display by a Premier League team since Sunderland last week against Newcastle. It was. They were brilliant. They harried and they harassed. They played brilliant dynamic football in Voltemade. They've got one of the signings of the season. And I honestly thought, there's no, much as I admire the way, Chelsea's new young team, I thought there's no way they're coming back from this. Of course, half-time, as so often, breaks momentum in football matches. And, a great goal by Reece James, and suddenly, if I'd known, Andy, I would have texted you to get you up.
Yeah. What about the Garnacho?
It was also Harry Brooks' reverse sweep.
Yeah, that's what did for Andy and the wallet. But what about the Garnacho challenge? I mean, it's not pretty, is it?
No, it wasn't great, but it's one of those. Look, some weeks you get them, some weeks you don't. Shouldn't be like that, though. You get sawn off. We've been sawn off enough.
But I would rather be sawn off by 3 officials than someone watching it on the telly and then sawing you off again, wouldn't you?
Look, we don't need to go through the evidence anymore. The evidence is there in a great big heap that VAR has failed. It has failed the game utterly. It has failed the fans utterly. And only its complete removal can reverse what we're going through now, when can't celebrate goals, and people like us are forced on a Monday and a Sunday to continue to discuss the inconsistency of the technology assistant.
I think now we would cut officials more slack. If we said tomorrow we're not having it, we'd go into games and we'd say, ref got that wrong there. It's annoying, but blimey,
that would last for 2 weeks,
I don't want to go back to VAR. Yeah, you're probably right.
Yeah, that's right.
But, I mean, I don't know, have we not learnt our lesson? You'd like to think we've all learnt our lesson. Managers would kick it off. They'd be the first one saying, why did we get rid of VAR? And then when they don't get sawn off, it's, well, who needs VAR?
I mean, it's so interesting. I don't know there's another sport, and I follow quite a few high-profile team sports here myself, where the officials are the story every week.
Yeah.
There you see mistakes in the NFL, you see mistakes in rugby occasionally, but they're so few and far between. Or is it just that there's an acceptance? But, no one can tell me that the stakes are any higher in the Premier League than they are in, say, the NFL.
No.
But the officials are allowed to get on with it. And afterwards, nobody spends their whole time talking about one issue. And I know it's different in soccer because the goals are so rare, and if any of them are influenced by the officials, they've essentially won the match or lost the match.
Yeah.
But look, just to say it one more time, probably my last time of 2025, VAR has failed, and we should get rid of it. There's a lot of reasons why they won't, not least a load of people's livings, which I understand, but it is wrong. It is all wrong for the game.
I think it's a long lease on that warehouse at Stockley Park.
Yes.
We should
Don't tell them, Paul.
Yeah,
let them carry on doing it, but just don't tell them.
Don't tell them they're not plugged in.
Absolutely.
That would be great, wouldn't it?
That'd be a very good
sitting
idea.
there saying, can't hear you, John, can't hear you.
I may have suggested that Robert Sanchez wasn't good enough to play for Chelsea in goal, but
you want to take that back?
Well, you have to say
the first save from Voltemada was great.
He's really improved this season, his distribution. He still occasionally passes it to the opposition, but that was a great ball to João Pedro, and so that in the end I think they deserved a point.
It was a good fight back. Bournemouth 1, Burnley 1. I was listening to the Moose at the Vitality on my way to the Spurs game with my youngest lad, and he was saying this is anti-football. Burnley are terrible. And as soon as Bournemouth score, that's it. And I was thinking he's absolutely right. Bournemouth scored, and of course, said to my youngest lad, well, that is it. They ain't going to get a goal back, are they? And I get out the car. Sure enough, they have. They've found a way. So fair play to Scott Parker and Burnley, because I wouldn't have put them down for anything on the back of going one behind.
Yes, but, Paul, this was one of those games where something had to give. Burnley's 7-match losing streak, or Bournemouth's, and this is the clue here, Bournemouth's 8-game stretch without a win.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely right. Any normal human being would think that the way Bournemouth have been for most of the last 2 or 3 years under Iraola, they would just walk away with that game once Burnley went behind. But Bournemouth are not in good form. They're finding it very, very hard to win football matches. And, Burnley did some... Scott Parker is trying his hardest, bless him. They played an old-fashioned 4-4-2, which I knew was coming back into fashion because things change all the time, with Kyle Walker playing in midfield. So all good stuff. But, that's the first point. So Burnley snapped their streak. Something had to give. And, I understand the belief that Bournemouth would then run away with it, but they're just not playing very well themselves. They're not playing badly, they're just not very good.
They're still they were creating chances.
Here's an old reference for you. They are the Horace Batchelor 11 this season.
Oh, okay.
They've drawn more games than anybody else.
That is an old reference.
And they've drawn their last
He was a pools expert from the 1950s, wasn't he? Or
his infra-draw method.
Oh, okay, right. Have we got Mark Pugh on later?
I bet you Danny remembers it from Radio Luxembourg.
Andy, bless you, bless your flinty little heart.
Yeah.
I don't. You've gone too far,
Andy's
man.
come up with a reference. Breaking news here on TalkSport that even Danny Kelly can't get.
No.
I'll have to get Martin Kelly.
Though I enjoyed Radio Luxembourg very much. Yeah, very good.
We're going to have a chat with Mark Pugh, the foodie footballer, the former Bournemouth midfielder, and could they get sucked into a bit of trouble? I doubt it. But we'll
There's too much dross at the bottom, isn't there?
Yeah, that's a high praise indeed there for the Premier League. Brighton 0, Sunderland 0. Two teams, a bit of AFCON, bit of injury.
It was the Andy Jacobs hate watch derby. I wanted both of them to lose.
Both bit depleted. No Welbeck for Brighton makes a big difference. Van Ecker wasn't playing, wasn't he? So yeah, it was it sounds like a bit of a dog with fleas. This I only saw very limited highlights, like most people.
Except again, sorry, boy, I keep doing this to you.
Yeah.
There were 41 shots at goal in the game.
Really?
There was absolute attack.
Match of the day couldn't find all of them.
No, there were 30 attempts.
Match of the day. Match of the day. To its, it lives on goals, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There weren't goals in this game, but there was lots and lots of pretty bad football resulting in chances. Brighton had both their centre halves missing and their centre forward. Sunderland had been absolutely stripped bare by the AFCON.
Yeah.
But there were lots and lots of chances. I think if you were in a stadium, it would be quite a fun watch.
Yeah.
And both goalkeepers, and we know how good both Verbruggen and Roofs really are.
Yeah.
When called upon, now I said there were a lot of shots. Many of them were, how should we put it, wayward.
Yes.
But when they were between the sticks, the goalkeepers were far too good for them. And it's one of those games. In any other sport, a 0-0 it must be terrible. It wasn't quite as terrible as the scoreline suggests.
I saw a stat in the Sun today, since 17-18 when Brighton came up, they've had more goalless draws than any other team.
Really?
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, would you have thought that? I don't think of them as a sort of nil-all specialist.
In nearly 250 years, that really is a lot, isn't it?
So I think that's us done, Danny.
Done.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Enjoyed it as always, chatting to you throughout the year. Have a fine Christmas, and we'll catch up with you in 2026.
Absolutely. Happy Christmas to you two and your families, and to everyone listening as well.
Brilliant.
Enjoy it.
All the best, Danny. Thank you.
Cheers. Bye-bye, man.
Danny Kelly, I'm sure, back with us in the new year. He's partner in crime on Trans-Europe Express, and the podcast is available now if you missed the show last night. If you just want a little bite-sized roundup, then stick around, because Andy Brassel will be joining us to look at some of the big and a heartwarming story from the world of Portuguese football will bring you as well. Plus, an Ashes inquest with Neil Manthorpe, bit of a neutral's take on it, and Mark Donaldson on the mighty Jambos and their title challenge. Time then to look at some of the big stories around Europe with part of Trans-Europe Express, we were just saying, podcast available now after last night. Andy Brassell joins us. Hi, Andy.
Hello, you guys. How are you?
Yep, the ridiculous Harry Kane keeps doing ridiculous things. Was that 61 goals or something?
Calendar years. Unbelievable.
It's many. Should we just say many?
Let's just say many, yeah.
We'll agree with that. It's funny, for a long time against Heidenheim, one of the weakest teams in the Bundesliga yesterday, which was the last game in the Bundesliga of 2025 as the late game, it didn't look as if he was going to get there. He hit the post, he looked frustrated, and then 3-0 up going into stoppage time, he finally got his goal. It was an incredibly stylish goal, lovely team move, and he took it round the last defender and took it beautifully. No thrash at it or anything like that, despite the fact he was obviously desperate for that goal. That's 19 Bundesliga goals in just 13 starts. Of course, that figure is slightly coloured by the fact that he did score that hat-trick as a substitute a couple of weeks back against Stuttgart. But it's been a peerless first half of the season for Bayern. The only game they've lost, of course, is that Champions League game to Arsenal, where they're really second best in the second half of that. But on the whole, they've been fantastic. They've dropped 4 points in the Bundesliga so far, which is nothing. And this is despite the fact they were decimated by illness and injury going into yesterday. They took Joshua Kimmich along, who had an ankle injury, because he said, as the captain, well, look, if we haven't got enough players, I'll just play. I'll just limp through it. And Kompany was talking about that afterwards. But it was interesting hearing Harry Kane and the sporting director, Max Eberl, talk afterwards about how so many clubs have moaned about the Club World Cup and how it's put an unbearable strain on them. And I can definitely see that point of view. But funnily enough, Bayern, who've got one of the smallest squads, at elite level in the European game, both Eberl and Kane said independently the Club World Cup was a godsend for us. It like bonded us all together. It's the first time really that we've spent 3-4 weeks in each other's company without any sort of break. And Kane said, we've taken that spirit into this season, and if we're doing well this season, it's because of the Club World Cup.
Yeah, but they didn't go all the way like Chelsea. Chelsea played for about another 2 weeks after that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Quarterfinals.
Whenever they say Heidenheim, I always want to go
Hody ho, of course you do. Yeah, 51st goal for Bayern in 2025. He scored 60 goals in 66 matches, club and country, which is pretty impressive. Now,
who's Luka Vuskovic?
Luka Vuskovic is 18, 19, maybe 19 now. 18 still. He's Tottenham player. He's on loan at his brother's club, although his brother's not playing at the moment, as Andy will explain. He's been one of the stars of the first half of the season. There's been a few people suggesting...
Are you getting back?
Get him back in January. I don't know if we can, and he is still very young, and I'm not sure how well that would play, certainly with the Leverkusen fans.
He's having a brilliant time out there in Hamburg, so there's no reason for him to go anywhere. I mean, he was loaned at the start of the season, and even though one of his first games was like a 5-0 thrashing at Bayern, he's looked super comfortable, and he's looked like a leader, which is really interesting for an 18-year-old. And it's funny, as you say, his brother Mario, who's 6 years older than him, he last played for Hamburg going back 3 and a bit years. He's been banned for EPO, and it's a case that's gone on and on and on amongst loads of different appeals. But because Luka, the younger one, knows the club, knows the people, it feels he's settled really well. And he was a hero at the weekend when they played Eintracht Frankfurt. Rasmus Christensen, who used to play for Leeds, smashed into Muheim, one of Vuskevic's Hamburg teammates, and they both looked in a pretty bad way. Despite only being 18, Vuskovic ran across and made sure Christensen wasn't swallowing his tongue. Wow. He was super quick thinking and lauded for that. And, it's just in keeping of the way that he's been not just really good for a team that their aim really is to avoid relegation. Of course, they've got a couple of loanees from Arsenal as well in Sambi Lokonga and Fabio Vieira, who nearly scored the winner at the weekend. Sambi Lokonga scored in the first half. They'll really miss Vuskovic when he goes, and he will go because he will be a first-team player at Spurs. There's absolutely no doubt about that. He really looks the part. And it was beautiful when he scored a winner the other week. When he scored a goal the other week in the derby, the Nord derby against Werder Bremen, he went up to the fans and he pointed to this tattoo on his arm, which is of him and his brother playing football when they were little.
What's his position?
He's centre-half.
Centre-back.
Yeah, good with the ball at his feet. He looks a good player. And there were a few people suggesting maybe he should have stuck around this year, but this clearly has been good for him, and he's gone viral because of that sort of donkey kick goal a couple of weeks back. So I imagine he'll see out the season. Sorry, I kept saying Leverkusen, it's Hamburg. We'll move on to Spain. a good weekend for Mbappe, ending a pretty decent year for Mbappe.
Yeah, a good week, I suppose you could say.
Yeah.
It's a good week when you win 61 million euros off your former employer, isn't it? And on the back of that, he played 2 games and equaled Cristiano Ronaldo's record for a calendar year for Real Madrid goals, 59. So he got a penalty late on in the 2-0 win over Sevilla at the weekend. And then it was funny. I don't know if the referee was imbued with a sense of history. I mean, it wouldn't be the first time match officials or opponents had been sort of carried away by the history of the club. Jude Bellingham was going through late on. He got taken over by Osso, the fullback. It was a perfect tackle, but the referee couldn't point to the penalty spot quickly enough. Almost all the players on both sides were going, you're going to have to go to the screen for this one. It's definitely not a penalty. So Mbappe didn't get that penalty and he didn't beat the record, but he did equal it. And it's been a really good end to the year because, of course, a couple of weeks ago, Xabi Alonso was in real trouble, as we were talking about. But it was interesting, as I said to you a little while back, the fact that there's been this sort of turn of the mood in the Bernabeu against Vinicius Junior. He was booed again at the weekend.
Wow, interesting. Blimey, that's strange. I'll tell you, Conor Gallagher's an interesting case at the moment.
Yeah, he's definitely coming back up.
Well, you do sense it. Diego Simeone put him on as a sub, then took him off
he
about
scores and then he takes him off.
half an hour later, and he threw his jacket down. That relationship, it looks like it can't be mended. Would you expect him to be back in January, Andy?
Not necessarily, actually. I think the fact is Simeone does whatever he does for the team. And Conor Gallagher's been really useful this week. He started in the cup game at Atletico Baleares and he was really, really good in that. And, you know, I'm sure we'd all be good on a lovely weekend on Palma de Mallorca. But he came on against Girona just early on because there was an injury to Nico Gonzalez. And so even though players hate to be subbed when they're subs, he did it for a reason. It wasn't out of malice or displeasure or anything like that. But I guess the thing is, Gallagher goes there thinking he's going to be a starter all the time. But there have been a couple of issues with that. Firstly, I think the fact that Atletico's playing style has sort of moved a little bit from what it was. They're a little bit more possession heavy. And when they brought Conor Gallagher in, you know, he's more of a classic Simeone player, someone who really gets stuck in and then gets onto second balls in the penalty box. The other thing is Koke, who's played like going on 900 games for the club, who everyone thought was going to be gently put out to pasture. He's played this season and played really, really well. So that's been another issue for him. Look, I suspect Conor Gallagher will get even more frustrated and probably come back at the end of the season. But unless Atletico are getting a replacement in January, I wouldn't imagine him moving then.
We've got the Super Coppa tonight, Napoli versus Bologna. And, of course, it's being played in Riyadh.
Naturally. Naturally. Of course, Italy kind of led the way because when there was that strange relationship between Serie A and Colonel Gaddafi going back over 20 years, they were the first major league to really play a Super Cup or Community Shield or whatever you want to call it abroad because it was played in Tripoli going back 21 years when Juventus had that connection with Colonel Gaddafi and his oil company. So since then, the Super Cup has been played in China, in all sorts of different places. And then after Spain agreed a Super Cup deal with Saudi Arabia, Italy did the same. And they've sort of expanded the format so it's a semi-final and then final. And given that, you know, everything I've said so far implies it's a worthless competition, it's actually been pretty good. The two semi-finals were really interesting. Napoli beat Milan. Rasmus Højlund was fantastic in that. Scored one, created one. There was a dust-up between Tomori and McTominay. And then in the second one, Inter scored after 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes against Bologna. And then Bologna came back and edged them out on penalties. So I guess from a distance, you'll be looking at this and thinking, well, Conte doesn't win a lot of cups and they're playing Bologna rather than Inter. Great. But actually, the last time that Napoli played Bologna in the league, the floor with them, so it's not.
Finish with a heartwarming tale from Portugal, where one Portuguese fan, he's a fan of Aruca. I've probably got that wrong. Aruca. He travelled. They did a 2,000-mile round trip from mainland Portugal to the Azores to watch his team take on Santa Clara. And not only did the players applaud him at the end, they all went up individually, shook his hand, gave him a hug, as did all the backroom staff. But well, yeah, what a lovely done to him.
Really, really nice. And of course, some of the clubs in the Portuguese top flight, they don't have big support anyway. But you can kind of imagine this guy going, who's coming over to the Azores with me? Yeah, and they're going, Dave, it's like 2 days before Christmas. What are you talking about? and he's end up going on his own. But the next away game that they have at Tondela, which is 45 kilometres away from Aroca, so that's a bit more like it.
Yeah, that was fantastic. He's just standing there completely on his own. A couple of stewards around him,
Dedicated.
What was the score, Andy? Did
0-0.
Oh no! Wow, football fans, eh? Nice one, Andy. Have a great Christmas. Thanks for everything this year. We'll catch up with you in the new year.
Thank you, guys. Happy Christmas.
That's Andy Brasselet, European football expert. And as we said, the latest issue of Trans Europe Express with Andy and Danny, and there are many guests from around the world of European and world football. They joined them last night. They talked about Kylian Mbappe equalising Cristiano's record for most goals in a calendar year for Real Madrid, and lots of other stuff as well. It's always a great listen. So Trans Europe Express, you can listen again, or indeed download the podcast wherever you get your podcasts for a deep dive into the world of European football. We're going to talk cricket next, unfortunately. The Ashes, that race is run. Neil Manthorpe's going to join us, not working for us on this one. Born here, but nominally a man we think of as a South African. So giving us a little bit of distance on what we've seen. Annis is up next. And we'll talk Hearts in the next half hour.
Mo Salah, we understand, will not be leaving Liverpool in January, thanks in part to Alexander Isak's injury. Salah has a mega money offer to move to the Saudi Pro League that will stay on the table next summer. A team that should be making moves in January, as they did last season, are Aston Villa. Can they sustain a challenge for a first title in 44 years?
It feels that this is Arsenal's time, because it feels they've got a bigger and better squad with more depth, and when the muck and bullets start flying in around February and March, it feels to me that Emery is turning water into wine.
Meanwhile, Ruben Amorim is drawing praise from Simon for coming down hard on the entitlement of some of his Man United players, and Martin O'Neill is in full agreement.
You've got two young kids at Manchester United tweeting something. Is that what they're on these particular
Instagram,
days?
yeah,
something like this here about what they've done in the game.
Yeah,
they haven't done a thing. Entitlement, it's rife.
To Jake Paul now and his dismantled jaw following that right-hand blow from Anthony Joshua. Where does it leave the sport of boxing? Well, who better to ask than the Omen, Spencer Oliver.
One shot's been landed here. Jake Paul's had his jaw broken in two places. You go, because he wanted to push it to the extreme level, taking on a live heavyweight fighter. So we've got to be careful there, because God forbid anything more serious than that happens. Boxing goes into disrepute.
There's more on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
Been great fun, but Brad Ball's been a lot more fun. Just hasn't stood up to scrutiny against top side.
We've all been underprepared. Technically, we've not been good enough. And physically, because we've been underprepared, our bodies are at the limit as well.
Maybe I didn't get that preparation right. You're responsible for that. You put your hand up and say, I didn't get that right because we've lost 3-0.
I don't know about step down. I just think reappraisal. And if he's not going to change his ways, well, yes, because it clearly hasn't worked.
You're only as good as your team. It's like as a leader as well. And if you're losing, the leader's the one who takes the blame.
Yeah, Ashes in a nutshell.
I can't see him surviving.
Well, he said he wants to stay today, Brendan McCullum as coach.
I think the pressure, especially if they lose the next two tests.
Well, it's often after an Ashes series there is a bit of a bloodletting, especially one. Let's see what happens if they can come back to 3-2. I know it'll be.
It was funny, this test match, because there were just a couple of incidents. Snicker, and then also the two drop catches by Brooks. In the end, that 82 runs could have been different.
The damage was done in the first two tests, especially the second one.
First two tests.
We've noted from Neil Manthorpe, a regular part of our commentary team on cricket, so a little bit of distance on the whole thing. He's not been working for us on this, so we thought we would get his considered opinion. How are you, Manners?
Very well, thanks, gents.
Yeah, so, what have you made of it? Wasn't it all unfolding there from South Africa?
Oh, it was bitterly disappointing. I was writing a column yesterday in which I said that, rather like the Ryder Cup, the Ashes is a global event. It's not a pet project. It's not about playing for each other and just about being a team. It's about responsibility, I think, to the greatest stage for Test cricket. And I think... it is a little bit easier. I was born in England. I heard you say that half an hour ago. And so I'm not entirely biased, but I have been removed from the Bazball project for most of it. But, do you know, let's remember that when McCullum came in, his first job was to hand out the happy pills. England had won one test match in 17. It had become a chore. The austerity of test cricket was suffocating. So he handed out all the happy pills, told everyone to enjoy themselves, played music in the nets. Everyone started to enjoy it and they started to win. And they just got addicted to the pills and thought that they could just keep taking them. And it was a short-term solution to you know. And again, I would say McCullum was brave and bold to look at Test cricket and say, yeah, that's the way it's been played for over a century. Doesn't mean to say that's the way we should carry on playing it, but certain fundamentals just don't change, like new balls, fresh bowlers and bouncy pitches. But they just kept taking the pills. And worse, I think, is McCullum... people use the word brainwashing. I think that's a little too severe, but he shielded the players from criticism in many ways. He restrained the communications department, which is why we had so many gaffes in press conferences over the last couple of years. And whereas cricket is moving more towards analysis, it's the least analytical bat and ball game, if you like, or ball game at the moment. And the ECB had moved towards employing 2 performance analysts, and McCullum said he wanted shot of them because he wanted the players to trust their instincts. So, you know, it wasn't as if people said, oh, well, you know, pitching up to Australia and playing against our B team at Lilac Hill sounds like a good idea. No one said that. No one. No one said that. You know, it was a bad idea. You need overs in your legs as bowlers, and you need to. Very, very frustrating. You can see and hear.
Yeah, because you want it to be, as Andy was saying, you want it to be a contest. You look forward to it being a contest, cricket, it was important, and it wasn't, was it?
The 2005 Ashes was the most disruptive in my life. I almost got divorced, almost lost the house. I didn't do any work because all I could do was and of course it was finishing at like 8:30 in South Africa. Yeah. So I wasn't cooking dinner for the kids, you know, because it was that compelling, and you just sort of wanted just some of that, just a little bit of that. Yeah. And you wanted England to give themselves the best chance. And it was obvious, and this isn't with the benefit of hindsight, it's not. It was obvious that they had disappeared far too far up their own backsides, and they believed in their own hype. And, you know, they didn't listen to people, look at the facts that they'd gone out and scored 800 against a weak Pakistan attack on a road in Rawalpindi. And it was brilliant and it was compelling. And guys like Johnny Bairstow were brought to life. Their genius was ignited. Not just him. Lots of cricketers suddenly began enjoying Test cricket again. The results improved exponentially. England became the team. But, you know, they started doing their own publicity as well, and that's where it started to go wrong.
We haven't won in Australia for 18 games, so unfortunately, though, expectations were high this time. I think that's why people are so disappointed. Yeah. You heard all the experts saying, oh, England have got a chance here. You know, if you were to play Australia without Hazelwood is a great bowler, without Cummings, Smith missing a game, Lyon missing a game, and you still get hammered 3-0.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, isn't it? Not great. England had an awful lot of advantages. Do you see the heads that will roll, or the head that will roll? Do you see McCullum, maybe Rob Key not surviving this?
Rob Key's been a real enabler, I think. You know, I'm a huge fan of his, but the total disdain and disregard for county cricket, I think, is, both barrels aimed at both feet. I mean, that's undermining the very foundations of future Test sides. You can't keep looking for under 19 players and just bypassing and bad-mouthing county cricket. That's absolute nonsense. But as I said, remember the good that Brendan McCullum did when he came in. Remember, you know, how compelled we all were by watching England and how delighted we were about the fact that they were so competitive and producing some really, really good cricket. All I can say really about the preparation is I have never played a test match, but I've commentated on 380 of the bloody things. So, I know that bowlers will be found out if they're short of work. And, I run marathons. I wouldn't try to run a marathon without a month's preparation. You've got to get the miles in your legs. And, this idea that that's not the way we do things now. Your legs don't change.
Yeah.
Your muscle, your conditioning, your body, it doesn't change just because you're going to disregard bouncy pitches and drive on the up. I spoke to Hashim Amla halfway through the series and I said, how did you average 45 in 3 series in Australia? How did you score 196 at the Wacker? He said, well, one thing I didn't do was drive on the up, ever.
Yeah, so true, isn't it? It's brilliant.
Oh.
Well, it's what can you say? They need to sort of show some pride now.
Yeah, I mean, a lot will depend on these next 2
Somebody
tests.
made the point there, and it's so true. It's easier, and it's been this way for some time, that it's easier to get into the England side than it is to get out of it.
Yeah,
it's a boys' club.
How is Pope still there? Really, honestly,
and Zach Crawley. I mean, this high ceiling conversation that Zach Crawley's capable of scoring 240 on a flat pitch against Pakistan against a weak bowling attack. He averages 31. Ollie Pope averages 34, and averages don't always tell the whole story, but they've played 60 test matches each. And cricket statistics do tell a large part of the story. I'm just what has been brilliant is the removal of the fear of failure, but it's gone too far. England teams were absolutely suffocated by the fear of failure, and they weren't able to take the moment, to seize the moment with bat or ball, because there was so much conservatism that had just been bred into them, and they'd grown up with it, as I talked about the austerity of Test cricket. If there had been as much concentration on focusing on identifying the right moments in which to play with freedom and to express yourself, then it could have been very, very different.
Yeah.
You've got to make the bowlers tired. Pat Cummins admitted it himself after Adelaide, didn't he? He said, on day 3 it was 40 degrees. We were all, what did he say? Not nervous, but they were concerned about the fact that they might have to bowl all day in 40-degree heat, and it's slightly easier to bat than to bowl fast in those conditions. So tire the opposition out. I'll never forget Ben Stokes saying that Alistair Cook wouldn't have got in his team. Well, Alistair Cook batted 2 days in Brisbane.
That is such a ridiculous thing to say.
Yeah.
You can't even imagine.
Neil, good to talk to you. Have a great Christmas. We'll catch up with you in the new year.
And to you too.
Take care. There's Neil Manthorpe there. Good to get his take on it.
The Aussie media and their fans, they love bashing the Poms. They love it.
Understandably.
But you get the sense from the players, they're a bit disappointed. I think they wanted to play in a good series.
Yeah.
This has been rubbish. If you win 5-0 every week, it becomes quite tedious, doesn't it? In football. So
I wouldn't,
same in cricket.
I wouldn't know, Andy,
I wouldn't know
certainly.
either, but any team that really dominates, it can be.
Well, maybe the domination of the old firm is about to change in the world of Scottish football, he said in a kind of slightly accidental segue. We're going to have a chat about Hearts next. Mark Donaldson, our friend and presenter at ESPN. We'll touch on a bit of World Cup as well. He's got Scotland, basically. He can probably walk there. Well, actually, I don't know about walk there. But he's got a game in Boston. We'll see what the mood is like in the States ahead of the World Cup, as well as talking Hearts with Mark. And that's coming up next. We're here with Tool Station. Get winter ready with heating and insulation essentials. Next stop, Tool Station. So, big win for Hearts yesterday against Rangers. They are still top of the tree, although Celtic did get that much-needed win for Wilfred Nancy yesterday. Can they sustain it? Let's ask. Friend of the show, Jambo, Mark Donaldson. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes,
I'm not
good.
too bad, thank you,
looking
Mark.
good.
So, yeah, you are looking. You're looking like a man who's top of the league. I mean, you posted something earlier on, said you were coming on. A few Hearts fans have been posting subsequently. I mean, let's have a look. Let's have a kind of, as far as we can, a sort of forensic look at it about what you need to do and who you've still got to beat amongst the old firm and elsewhere. How are you feeling generally as you look at the rest of the season, Mark?
Feeling better now. I mean, we're top at Christmas. First non-Rangers or Celtic team to do that since Aberdeen in '93. It doesn't happen very often. But you know what was weird yesterday, Paul and Andy? It was going into that game, and I'm glad Derek McInnes said it afterwards, expecting to win. This is Rangers. This is a side that we've had a horrible record against. But it would have been a disappointment had we not have won. Have we been great this season? No, we've not. We've been very good, but we've got the job done. And while Rome has burned all around us, we've just kept on trucking along. And look where we are.
How much is this down to Tony Bloom's involvement? How much is it McInnes? I mean, were there signs last season? Has this been a surprise?
Well, this time last year, when you were sort of towards the bottom of the table, weren't you?
We were bottom of the table.
Yeah.
We were bottom of the table. We've gone from worst to first. So it's a bit of everything. And a lot of it is to do with how much better we've been. And a lot of it is to do with how much poorer Rangers and Celtic have been. And kudos to Motherwell. Motherwell are third right now.
Yeah.
Rangers are fourth. And Lawrence Shankland was asked about pressure. He says, at the top of the league, are you under pressure? He says, we were under pressure when we were bottom of the league. This is fun for us.
Yeah, they're under no pressure.
I mean, could they still do with strengthening? Could that be the key? I mean, Tony Bloom, as we know, has got a pretty good track record of signings and the people that he uses. So you're hoping for some canny signings in January?
He's been great for us. And I think his press conference when he took over, and as you know, with Brighton fans will know as well, he doesn't speak to the media very often. And when he does, people sit up and take notice. This isn't Vladimir Romanov that the three of us have spoken many times in the past about, when he says, we're going to win the Champions League. Yeah, A, didn't say which year, and B, didn't say which sport. So maybe he was talking about basketball. This is a guy with the track record who's come in, and with his Jamestown Analytics solutions and players signed. I mean, we signed a goalkeeper for free. We signed Stuart Finlay on loan from Oxford. McEntee's free from Walsall. Borchgrevink's free from the Norwegian second division.
Brilliant.
Claudio Braga is going to make fortunes for us, as is Kizaridis. Do you know what our most important signing might be? It might be Lawrence Shankland, because he was out of contract and he was lined up to go to Rangers, but they went down a different path with their manager and director of football, and he re-signed with Hearts. And he's been brilliant. He's our captain. He's our leader. Yet Rangers pay $9 million for a young Everton striker who has had a lot of injury issues. It's all about recruitment. We've not spent much. We've spent $3 million in the summer. Rangers spent 25. Celtic spent 12. They're worse. We're better, having spent a lot less. So God bless Tony.
I don't see Celtic improving much under Nancy. He's quite up himself, really. Even when they won, he's sort of quite chippy after the game. You just feel this isn't the sort of bloke that players is going to get on side.
Well, I mean, I think you're going to you need to see the next 2 or 3 games for Celtic to judge and see if this is the start of something.
We should talk a bit of World Cup because a friend of mine's Scottish from Glasgow. And Paul, a friend of both of us, and he said to me, I'm heading over to the Brazil game in Miami with 3 very average seats at the back of the stand, for $1,300. I said, is that each? He said, yep.
Yeah.
Cost price, $5,200. That's madness, isn't it?
And you've got one on your doorstep in Boston, Mark. You're over in Connecticut, aren't you? So you've got a game to witness there. What is the feeling about the ticket prices and stuff? People you've been speaking to there?
Horrible. Absolutely dreadful. And FIFA have taken charge of the resale market, and they're taking 15% from the buyer and 15% from the seller. It's an absolute scam. I'm lucky. I've got the first 2 games in Boston. England fans are playing, their team's playing in Boston as well, so not too far to travel. I was slightly fortunate. I put in for Scotland tickets prior to them qualifying in what's called the TST, the team-specific tickets, and it cost me $225 each ticket. Those are probably going on the black market now for 10 times that. It's horrible. This is the people's game. I'm one of the lucky ones. And I think there's going to be a lot of games that you're going to see a lot of empty seats, not featuring the big nations, but FIFA have got this totally wrong.
Oh, I hope so. We absolutely serve them right. It'll be brilliant.
Well, Mark, I'm sure we'll catch up in the new year. Have a great Christmas, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks, boys.
There we are. There's Mark Donaldson, and I think the 27th they got the Derby, Edinburgh Derby at Easter Road.
Yeah, that's right. It's coming up.
Yeah, that's right. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting to witness how that all unfolds. It's certainly brought a bit more jeopardy, and as he said, Motherwell a third.
It's a bit like Villa being involved with City and Arsenal.
Yeah,
it'd be great.
It keeps things lively, doesn't it? Anyway, let's check in at Alexander Palace for the World Darts Championship. David Manure of Kenya is at the hockey, although he's not having it all his own way, isn't he? He's going to need to pull off another pretty mean comeback, Chris, isn't he, to get back into this one?
Yeah, it's the match that many have been waiting for after David Manure produced that stunning surprise victory against the number 18 seed Mike D. Decker in the first round. Won that one 3-2, so there is an opportunity, but Kevin Dukes is really controlling the game here. Won the first set, he's a leg up in the second and a breaker throw up as well, so Manure is going to have to find something rather special if he's going to turn this around. Whoever wins this takes on the winner of the match tonight between Nathan Aspinall and Leonard Gates, who promised to follow Aspinall round in the practice room and try and get in his head before they play tonight. Luke Humphries also in action tonight against the 67-year-old Paul Lim. Plenty of stories today. James Wade and Ricky Evans coming up next, but we've had wins this afternoon for Madars Rosmar 3-1 over Darren Beveridge, and Gabriel Clemens beat Wessel Nyman by 3-0. Not dropped a set yet in the tournament. Right now, Dukes looks like he's about to go 2-0 up in the second set and leads David Manure by a set to 0.
65. PDC World Darts Championship update on talkSPORT with Village Hotels. Hit the bullseye this New Year's Eve. Party at one of our New Year's Eve events. 34 locations across the UK. Find out more at villagehotels.com.
We're going to look at the transfer stories of the day. Antoine Semenyo, of course, scoring at the weekend. Could that be his sign-off at the Vitality? Who knows? There's a fair few clubs in for him in January. And that
he's got this release clause, hasn't he?
Yeah,
so if
65 million.
Difficult for Bournemouth.
Staying with Bournemouth, but on a very different subject. Mark Pugh used to play in their midfield, is now the foodie footballer. Gives advice. He's online, but big on Instagram, and works with lots of clients in the world of sport, making sure their nutrition is right. And we're going to get his take on Pep's comments, and the boys have got to come back after Christmas, not having put on weight, otherwise they will not play in the next game. And Max Scott will join us because we've still got a game tonight, of course, between Fulham and Forest, and Max will give us a bit of a Forest angle on that game, which is live on talkSPORT tonight. All the build-up from 7. That's all to come after these sports headlines.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
Good afternoon, I'm Max Scott here with your sports headlines. It's our understanding Mo Salah is expected to stay at Liverpool beyond the January transfer window. Alexander Isak's suspected broken leg means the club are unlikely to let Salah leave. That's despite him claiming the club had thrown him under the bus following some time on the bench. But Martin O'Neill believes Salah should only return to the starting 11 after issuing a sincere apology to Arne Slot.
I don't think that this would have happened quite some years ago. I think a player, number one, probably wouldn't have stepped out there. But secondly, if he did do, he would have had to apologise pretty quickly. And if the apology has been accepted by all concerned, particularly the manager, then get on with things.
Now, after Villa's 10th consecutive victory with Manchester United, their recent victims, Simon Jordan says it's not beyond the realms of possibility that they seriously challenge for the title, which would be their first in 44 years.
It feels to me that Emery is turning water into wine, and how long that stays, I don't know. But what it does do is it adds a different conundrum to the title race, because it makes Villa, the outsiders, look like they're competing for a Premier League title.
And tonight, Fulham welcome Forest to Craven Cottage. Sean Dyche's side have had 8 days off, which he says has been a welcome rest from balancing European and Premier League fixtures.
I think it's a good break this time round for the players, just because of the travelling, the game schedule, and as it keeps unfolding. So I think it's a good one coming for us this time.
A win would steer them 8 points clear of the drop zone. You can listen to that one live and exclusively here on talkSPORT this evening.
talkSPORT News.
Sir David Beckham and Liam Gallagher are among those to have paid their respects to the late Gary Manny Mountfield at his funeral, and Banksy is thought to be behind a new artwork that's appeared twice in London. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Rain or shine, our mobile tyre fitting service comes to you, so you can stay on the sofa this winter. Book today at quickfit.com. Conditions apply.
Showers easing in Northern Ireland and Scotland. A few showers affecting Cornwall. Elsewhere, cloud clearing for a brighter afternoon.
Good afternoon, it's Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Max will be back just before 4 o'clock because he'll be off to the game, as will Alex, who's on the decks for us today. The two halves of that particular game, Fulham and Forest, and we'll be chatting about that match tonight. It's live on talkSPORT. You can get your calls into the Sports Bar with Adam Catchett and Carlton Cole at 10. Before that, Shaban will be here with Rory Jennings for Drive. A bit of sad music. Sad news, should I say, from the music world today. Chris Rea has died, age 74. Of course, a fantastic catalogue of great tunes, but this time of year we think of him for Driving Home for Christmas.
One of my favourite Christmas songs, many people's favourite.
His family said he passed away peacefully in hospital earlier today following a short illness. He was a big Borough fan. He'd been a regular guest over the years on talkSPORT, coming on Talking Borough, often with the boys on breakfast, and of course did the cup final song the year you played them in. And Bob Mortimer did that reworking of Let's Dance, didn't they? But that is really sad news. I'm sure it will be marked at the Riverside when the team are next home. Very sad news that he's died at this time of year. So yeah, still to come this afternoon, as we said, Mark Pugh will join us. Some interesting comments from Pep Guardiola about. I'll bring them to you now, and I'll bring to you when we chat to Mark. But yeah, he said there'll be consequences for those who overindulge at Christmas. And we did say earlier on that because they've got a little bit more time on their hands this time around with no Boxing Day games, or very few. On Friday, every player made a weight, he said. They come back on the 25th, and I will be there controlling how many kilos come up. If they come back fatty, he said. Imagine any player who arrives with 3 kilos more. He will stay in Manchester. He will not travel for Forest. I would imagine Sean Dyche and Marinakis sending great big boxes of... I mean, sending every sort of slightly fatty Greek food. Lots and lots
Pep
of...
will be stuffing himself.
Lots and he is. He's admitted it. He's done his bit. He served. He said, I'm going back to Barcelona to spend some time with Dad and eat too much. But he hasn't got to play football, has he? Later in the week.
There's a brilliant article in the Daily Mail today, and there's a few articles this time urging you to restrain yourself at Christmas. You never should do.
Okay, well, I mean, I think never should do, but I mean...
not at all. It's one day. One day. Why have you got... in this?
You haven't got to pass out, though. You haven't got to go into a
they suggested,
food coma,
they suggested fasting on Christmas Day.
Oh, okay.
It's really...
That's a bit miserable.
When faced with a well-meaning host piling Yorkshire pudding on your plate...
punch them in the face.
Say things like, that looks delicious. I'm already full. Can I just taste a tiny bit?
Yeah.
If you really want somebody who comes around, I'd send them out.
And they say, Christmas, mate. You get your funnel out,
don't you, Andy? Christmas with that bloke that found my wallet.
Yeah.
I've eaten such a lovely meal, but I simply can't fit that in. Would you mind if I take it home with me to have tomorrow? What are you talking about? And then this one, I'd love to, but I'm trying to lose weight on my...
You don't go to someone's house and ask for a doggy bag, do you?
I think you do.
That's not good. I don't want to say that's good form, is it?
It's very bad.
Imagine you're sitting there saying, well, yeah, thanks for having us round. You can box it up, could you?
Absolutely ridiculous. Now, one of my friends supports QPR, right?
Okay, yeah.
And he was saying to me last week...
They got their own back on the gaffer at the weekend,
very much. He said, we're really looking forward to this game.
Yeah.
He's coming back, the manager, Fuentes.
Yeah.
And they're 4-0 up at half-time. Talk about revenge.
They stuffed them, didn't they?
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think they would have enjoyed that. And in case you missed the first hour, Andy was telling us, it only ever happens to Andy, he lost his wallet in Chiswick High Road, and somebody had found it. Somebody found it in the street, took it home, tried to even ring talkSPORT to say, I think I found... So it must have had your name in it somewhere. I had your name on the card, obviously.
Yeah, on the card.
So did he just take a punt that you were the Andy Jacobs who's on talkSPORT?
Maybe there was some sort of card or... Yeah, there must have been some reference. No, he didn't know who I was when I spoke to him. No.
But why did he ring talkSPORT? That would be a bit of a guess, wouldn't it?
I think there must have been something in the wallet that says...
it's just your pass, your work pass.
No, I tend to keep that separate. But...
Okay, so you can lose that elsewhere.
Yeah.
Andy goes to we have a in and out with a pass, and Andy goes to it every day, and there's always a look of surprise on his face when he gets to the gate, even though for about 7 years now he needs that pass to get through. You always look, blimey, I need that pass. I don't know how you do it.
I usually use my Oyster card.
Yeah, that's always a joy. So anyway, you've been weighing in on, because Andy was a bit put out that this bloke cancelled the card. I spotted Andy Jacobs in Chiswick on Saturday.
Oh, really?
I stopped in my van to tell him he was a national treasure.
Oh, he did. I was just... I know exactly who that was.
He said he was a bit grumpy, but Walletgate now explains why. It was Simon in Kensal Rise.
Right by where the blokes... Because I couldn't find... Sorry, Simon.
Right. Sorry.
I couldn't find...
You caught him at a bad moment.
The bloke gave me instructions on where to go in his house, and I couldn't find it. And I was walking around and trying to find it.
Yeah.
As I'm really super aggravated that I can't find this place, and I've had this terrible morning. And he drove past and went, "Oh, hello, legend, love the show." And
you what you?
No, I went, "Thank you very much," but I was a bit.
You were a bit, Tell Andy, I have a wallet that he can buy that has a chain and a clip that you can attach to your belt loop, which stops you losing it. I buy mine with this safety device after losing one years ago, says Pete in May. That's the key.
Well, maybe.
Maybe that's the key. You're going to have it tied onto your trousers like a 5-year-old.
That's good, isn't it? With the gloves.
It is the fourth time he's lost it.
I know.
Lost the... Well, there
it is frustrating, but there we go.
I felt a bit for Max Kilman today. The Sun did a graphic. Haaland's a killjoy. Haaland's goals when facing Kilman in the Premier League.
Oh, no.
And from 2022, he got 1 in 2022. 3 in 2023, and then he got 4 in 2024. And I thought, that's bullying, that, isn't it? It's a fact.
He won't be the only one.
I mean, exactly. How many other centre-halves could you say that about? But he has scored a total of 15 goals.
Code. Having Haaland is a cheat code.
15 goals against poor old Max Kilman.
This one fascinated me. You know, we've often talked about this in the Star. They have this thing where people say, let me have a picture of such and such.
Yeah, why not just look at on the internet?
Winslet or something.
Yeah, okay.
And you think, why not look? But this one today, Can I have a picture, please, of Olivia Atwood to cheer up fans of her hubby, Bradley Dack?
Right.
I don't get that. What do you mean?
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I don't get it, really.
He's the footballer.
Surely have a picture of Bradley Dack, wouldn't it?
Well,
cheer up fans of Bradley Dack.
Do you know what?
I know, I shouldn't have gone into it so...
I hadn't given it a lot of thought.
I know, but this is the sort of thing that worries me.
Okay, well, that's good. No wonder you keep losing your
And a
wallet.
bonkers letter from Linford that makes no sense whatsoever.
This is the man that writes in capital letters. Is that right, Andy?
Yeah, capital letters.
You want to do it?
Anthea Turner,
Oh, wow.
capital letters.
And he shouts because it's in capital letters.
Brackets 65.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks, Brian. Who cares? Finding a second chance in life after a painful 50s divorce topically inadvertently outlines tips on happiness 15 years married to an unfaithful businessman devastated and daunted adopting a positive attitude saw a career reality show reinvention, celebrity SAS and the real Dirty Dancing. Full stop.
Okay, so
that was one sentence.
No punctuation at that point.
A second spring with someone new, she describes added wisdom, appreciating and protecting the relationship like her 2024 air fryers made easy. What? Anthea makes some real tips for happiness easy too. Every day they publish a letter from this bloke.
Wow.
And every time you read them, you just go, oh, no.
You keep reading them, Andy. You're giving him the oxygen of publicity. This is the problem.
I know. Well, that's it.
So, still to come this afternoon, as we said, we'll be chatting to Mark Pugh, formerly of Bournemouth, and looking at Pep's comments. And I mean, as a footballer, I mean, you want to enjoy the time of your family, but you've got to be fully aware of the fact that you can't overindulge. You've got to go out and can't play with a stitch, can you? Can't say to Pep, "Oh, I've got a stitch."
No, of course you
got a stitch.
No, you've got to be super fit to be a Premier League.
Yeah. So Mark will talk us through that. He's the foodie footballer post-football and really knows his stuff around nutrition. And he can give us a few war stories. I'm sure he's played with players that maybe did overindulge over Christmas, came in slightly not as they should have done for the Boxing Day match. Max Scott looking ahead to Fulham Forest tonight live on talkSPORT. But before that, we're going to look at transfers. A few things hotting up in the transfer market. Right across that
is the one, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
just hitting form at a nice time, just before the January transfer.
Yes, that was a nice finish. That was the other day, reminding everybody that he didn't have 65 million on the back of his shirt, did he? And the phone number at the bottom. Anyway, Alex Crook, our chief football correspondent, is going to join us for a chat and look at some of the stories around the transfer market today. We'll keep you in touch with the darts. We'll pop back there shortly. We're here with Toolstation. Stay one step ahead, whatever the job. Next stop, Toolstation.
26k for 2026 on talkSPORT.
Well, what better way to kick off 2026 than with a chance to win some serious cash?
Indeed.
Yes, 26 grand. It's our biggest New Year cash giveaway, and it could be yours. It's 26k for 2026. Here's how to enter.
Yes, for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. That's 83338. Text cost £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or call 0343 423 9761. Lines close 12 p.m. 9th of January 2026. That's when you'll need to answer your phone if it rings. UK residents only, 18 plus. This is the network promotion. Full T's and please, T's and C's at talksport.com/win. So for your chance to win, text 83338 now. And good luck. Wow. Loving the music.
Yeah, it's dramatic.
That's the music probably going on in Antoine Semenyo's head at the moment as he contemplates which of the many clubs that covet him he should go to. Let's ask our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook. Hi, Crookie.
Good afternoon. Happy Christmas.
Yeah, and to you indeed. I mean, he won't be short of suitors. There's been a few reports today that he said thanks, but no thanks to Spurs. Thanks. But Liverpool could be now in the market potentially. City, it seems, are keen. Manchester United, where do you think is the most likely destination?
Yeah, it's no surprise that Tottenham seem to be out of the race. I wrote about this a week or so ago in my notebook, that they were probably his least likely destination this window. Liverpool, the last information I had is that they weren't planning on making a move in January. They don't plan to spend that kind of money on an attacker in this upcoming window, albeit that was before the nasty news of Alexander Isak's injury layoff. So it does seem to be a shootout between the two Manchester clubs, City and United. We know that he met with Ruben Amorim, as he did actually with Spurs last summer, before deciding to stay at Bournemouth and signing this new contract with a £60-odd million release clause. I think Ruben Amorim has maintained contact, certainly in recent weeks, to try and persuade him that Old Trafford is the destination for Semenyo. And the reason he's attractive to Pep Guardiola at Manchester City, and they definitely held talks directly with Semenyo last week as well, is that he wants a few more goals coming from midfield. He was quite critical, wasn't he, of Bernardo Silva after one of the recent games. So you do wonder where his long-term future lie. I don't think he's convinced that either Oscar Bob or Savinho necessarily can do what Semenyo has done now for a good season and a half at Bournemouth. And I have had a couple of messages. Don't rule out Arsenal. Now, I would say that's unlikely because they're pretty well stocked. You know, you've got Noni Madueke and Saka on one side, Martinelli and Trossard on the other. But I wonder if there's a little part of Arsenal that are thinking, right, do we really want Manchester City to strengthen and sign Antoine Semenyo, or should we nip in almost as a blocker? So maybe that's one to keep an eye on. I think we're going to get quite an imminent decision
on the blocker.
Wow. I mean, Chelsea did back in the day.
Yeah, but
in the Abramovich years, you can't do that anymore.
You'll know better than us on this, Alex. What about, why do United want him? I mean, they seem well stocked. I know they're depleted at the moment because of the African nations, but it's a strange one. Do you see him playing wing back or something like that?
Well, I've heard differing accounts as to why Ruben Amorim is so keen. I think in the summer it was to play in one of those number 10 positions. I have heard in this window that maybe he does see him as someone who can play as a left wing back, do what Ahmad is doing very well on the right hand side. And as much as he had a good game yesterday at Villa, I thought maybe one of his best for United. I think the jury is still out on Patrick Dorgu, certainly from an attacking perspective. And it does raise questions long term. We had that explosive interview or round of interviews from Bruno Fernandes last week, maybe calling his long term future into question. So potentially Semenyo could be a replacement for him further up the pitch. I think he's such a talented player, such a great athlete, that actually if he did play as left wing back, I think he'd do it really well. And if he did play further forward, I think he'd do a job for United there as well.
Now, let's talk about Nicholas Fulcrum at West Ham. It hasn't worked. I think it's fair to say a combination of not particularly great performances and a lot of injuries have made it a pretty unhappy time for him at West Ham. Potentially Milan as a way out for him in January.
Yeah, this one is pretty much agreed and will be rubber stamped as soon as the window opens. It's going to be a loan deal. Initially, there was talk of an obligation in that deal. I think that was West Ham's choice because they want Fulkrug permanently off the wage bill, but it's going to be an option We'll see exactly what that option entails in terms of goals and appearances and maybe the fee at the end of it. But you're right, it's been a disastrous signing, and I don't think many of us thought it would be when they signed him on the back of that incredible season he had for Dortmund and played well for Germany at the Euros as well. On paper, and from what we saw at that tournament in particular, he looked like the perfect English Premier League striker, didn't he? But he's not been able to stay fit. When he has been fit, he's not scored any goals, and I don't think he's ever really been happy at West Ham. So, yeah, that will be one of the first deals that gets done when the window opens on January the 1st.
And there's a few reports that West Ham may go in for Jurgen Strand-Larsen at Wolves, who may be looking for a way out, not fancying the second half of the season at Molineux. As long as he's not on pens, based on yesterday, that'll be fine, I would imagine.
Do you know what? The Wolves hierarchy have taken a lot of stick from their supporters and from us in the media for selling too many players, for leaving the squad depleted. For me, one of the most bonkers decisions they've ever made was not taking £65 million when it was an offer from Newcastle for Jurgen Strand-Larsen, because he's not going to be prolific in the Premier League. He got some important goals at the end of last season. He's barely made any kind of impact at all this season. As you say, he's obviously looking to leave. If he does go to West Ham, and I'm not sure he's the type of player they want in a relegation fight at this moment in time because his confidence looks really low, they're not going to get anywhere near £65 million, are they? So Newcastle were desperate at that time. I think Wolves should have cashed in. But yeah, I mean, he will leave, whether it be this window, I don't know, but he'll go. João Gomez will go. There'll be other players. Andre, the Brazilian, has interest back in South America and Europe as well. We are going to see a fire sale, I think, from Wolves, whether it's in this window or the summer. The squad for next season is going to be very different.
You were reporting earlier on you think Mo Salah's going to stay at Liverpool, especially after what's happened with Isak. I mean, do you think there was a real chance he could have gone in January had Isak not picked up that injury at the weekend?
I think it was in the balance. I mean, Liverpool sources were always telling us they planned for Salah to see out that new contract that he signed. I think his future will certainly come back into the spotlight in the summer. That offer from the Saudi Pro League is not going to go away. Obviously, after he gave that interview, it looked like an attempt to try and force his way out of Anfield. But I think what they'll do now is they'll sit him down when he gets back from AFCON and say, look, you are going to get minutes between now and the end of the season. Let's reevaluate and see if you're still unhappy in the summer. They can't let him go, can they? Because we don't know when Isak's going to be back. With the best will in the world, it's going to be at least a couple of months, you'd have thought, with that leg fracture. So they need him there. And Cody Gakpo is injured as well. And despite all the money they spent last summer, that they still look a little bit depleted at the top end of the pitch. So, yes, I think now he will stay. Not only do I think he will stay, speaking of people close to the Salah camp, they think it's highly unlikely he'll be allowed to go out in January as well.
And finally, we always say, the January window is a difficult window, but we do have that thing of players wanting game time before the World Cup.
Yeah.
So there could be some interesting loans out there, potentially, couldn't there, this time around?
Yeah, Kobbie Mainoo obviously is one you think of immediately when it comes to that. Although I think it's going to be difficult for him to force his way into the England squad, even if he was to go out on loan to say, Napoli and play brilliantly between now and the end of the season. I don't think United really want him to go, and it's unfortunate for him that he's picked up an injury just when he would have got a run of games, because United are missing 7 or 8 key players at this moment in time. Brennan Johnson at your club, Tottenham, seems to be that they are keen to cash in on him, which I find a bit odd, actually, because he scored a lot of goals last season, not least, with the role he played in that European final. They're not blessed with a lot of goals, Tottenham, and I know your fans never really seem to have taken to him. Crystal Palace, one of the clubs who would want to sign him. Can Spurs afford to let him go at this moment in time in their league position?
I was surprised at that story. He's not got a lot of game time. I mean, the way that Ange played suited him a lot better. He was just coming in, arriving, getting on the end of stuff, and he's had less opportunities. And of course, they signed Kudus, who's kind of taken his position. He doesn't look as convincing on the left. Personally, I'd like to see him stay. I wondered a few times if he couldn't play through the middle. He's probably one of the best finishers we've got in those. When I used to watch him at Forest, he'd take players on, he'd have shots from distance, and I think he's lost a bit of confidence. And if he's not getting game time, that's not going to improve. But I kind of agree with you, Crookie. I personally wouldn't want to see him go at the moment.
That wide position is such a key area of the pitch when it comes to confidence, isn't it? We're seeing it with Anthony Elanga at the moment. I was screaming at the TV in the press lounge at Brighton as he went through at the end of the game against Chelsea. He had to pass that ball, Elanga, but he looks so muddled at the moment and so devoid of confidence that he obviously took the wrong option. And I think maybe it's the same for Brennan Johnson. What came easy last season when he was in the groove is a lot more difficult this year, because when you get the ball as a winger, your natural instinct, I think, is to try and take on a player if you don't do that and you get tackled, then the crowd are on your back straight away, aren't they?
Yeah. Well,
that's because you were desperate for Chelsea to lose.
Well, just over a week or so until the window opens, so it's going to be quite lively, I'm sure. Cheers, Crookie. Have a good Christmas. All the best.
Cheers, boys. You too.
Alex Crook, Chief Football Correspondent, will keep you right in touch with the goings-on in the transfer window. I'm just checking with the producer. Are we going to head to the darts, Georgia? Should we go and find out what's going on? Let's head back then to Chris Murphy. Ali Pally.
Manure gone?
I think Manure may have gone. Let's get that confirmed or not from Chris. Chris. He's not there.
We could hear his thing. Where was it?
Well, we can hear the background. We didn't
get
hear
a drink.
I don't know. He may have gone up he may have had a comfort break. My information was we should. He's not. It's been confirmed. He's not there.
He's not.
His
there.
silence is deafening. He'll be back later.
What's that thing?
That's
The
right.
bloke holding the darts. He's holding up a sign that says, "My wife thinks I'm at Pilates." And you looked at him and think,
no, she doesn't.
I don't think she does, mate.
No, she didn't. I saw some quite spectacular fancy dress today. There were some boys who'd obviously started early. One of them nearly stacked it down the staircase. He probably spent the afternoon at Guys as opposed to at the darts. But yeah, people have been starting early. But anyway, we got another game just about to get underway, and we will be back to Chris and get you updated on the darts very shortly. But before that, we're going to look at Pep's comments about his players coming back in good shape, not overindulging at Christmas. Mark Pugh, the foodie footballer, the former Bournemouth midfielder winger, will be joining us to tell us more about that and give us his take on it. And we'll look ahead to Fulham Forest, the remaining game this evening. And that's live on talkSPORT, 8 o'clock kickoff.
Mo Salah, we understand, will not be leaving Liverpool in January, thanks in part to Alexander Isak's injury. Salah has a mega money offer to move to the Saudi Pro League that will stay on the table next summer. A team that should be making moves in January, as they did last season, are Aston Villa. Can they sustain a challenge for a first title in 44 years?
It feels that this is Arsenal's time, because it feels they've got a bigger and better squad with more depth, and when the muck and bullets start flying in around February and March, it feels to me that Emery is turning water into wine.
Meanwhile, Ruben Amorim is drawing praise from Simon for coming down hard on the entitlement of some of his Man United players, and Martin O'Neill is in full agreement.
You've got two young kids at Manchester United tweeting something. Is that what they're on these particular
Instagram,
days?
Yeah,
something like this here about what they've done in the game.
Yeah,
they haven't done a thing. Entitlement, it's rife.
To Jake Paul now and his dismantled jaw following that right-hand blow from Anthony Joshua. Where does it leave the sport of boxing? Well, who better to ask than the Omen, Spencer Oliver.
One shot's been landed here. Jake Paul's had his jaw broken in two places. Because he wanted to push it to the extreme level, taking on a live heavyweight fighter. So we've got to be careful there, because God forbid anything more serious than that happens, boxing goes into disrepute.
There's more on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel.
Hawksbee, Andy Jacobs here on talkSPORT. Just before we chat to Mark Pugh, let's check in at Ali Pally. We've got James Wade.
This should be a good game.
Just about to get underway. Paul the Asset Nicholson, former player and part of our top commentary team, bringing you the tournament over on talkSPORT 2, joins us. Hello, Paul.
Oh, he's singing nicely, doesn't he?
Oh, good voice.
Winter one.
Hello, Paul.
Hi, guys.
Can you hear us?
Yes, we can hear you. We are live at Alexandra Palace right now, and we're currently just starting the game between James Wade and Ricky Evans. We've had 3 results so far, with Darren Beveridge going out to Matters Rasma by 3-1, and Wessel Nyman losing out 3-0 to Gabe Clemens of Germany. With David Munya, the romantic story from Kenya, unfortunately that's over, as Kevin Dutz of the Netherlands won by 3-0. And we are live on talkSPORT 2 right now with James Wade and Ricky Evans. We're in the first leg, and James Wade's on 160, leaving double 10, so he's off to a pretty decent start.
PDC World Darts Championship update on talkSPORT with Village Hotels. Hit the bullseye this New Year's Eve. Party at one of our New Year's Eve events. 34 locations across the UK. Find out more at villagehotels.com.
Pep Guardiola has been talking about his players in the build-up to Christmas, and taking a close look at their diets, admitting, I'm sure it goes on at all clubs, that they were weighed on Friday, and he said they'll come back on the 25th, and I will be there controlling how many kilos come up if they come back being fatty. Imagine any player arrives with 3 kilos more. He will stay in Manchester.
3 kilos is a lot to put on 3 kilos.
I'm
not expecting to put on 3 kilos, and I show no restraint.
Fair enough. Well, look, we thought we would turn to an expert in the field, because we've spoken to him before, and you may well know this, that Mark Pugh, former Bournemouth winger, after football, became a bit of a food expert and a nutrition expert, and he is the foodie footballer online and on Instagram and beyond. And we thought we would tap into his expertise. Good afternoon, Mark.
Good afternoon, lads. How are you?
Yeah, we're good, thank you. I suppose, it's always been the case. The difference this time, Mark, is that the boys got maybe a little bit more time on their hands than they normally do, simply because normally have a full programme, more or less, on Boxing Day, but some teams aren't playing until Saturday, Sunday. Are they? A little bit more time to indulge, and the managers and the coaches are going to be on top of it.
Yeah, I mean, it did make me chuckle, his interview. It was to say for the lads an elite level to come back fatty. It really did make me laugh. I mean, you'd have to eat 2 turkeys to put 3 kg on. It's a lot. I think he's really dry with his interviews, and he's quite funny. And I think he had a bit of a light-hearted joke, but you know, them City lads, they ain't coming back overweight. That's for sure. They'll be ready to go, and they're in great form at the moment.
But even you, sorry, Paul, but even you at this time of year, I'm looking at your Instagram now, you're doing lemon, jam, sponge cake, crispy roast potatoes. There's time to eat really, really well and sensibly, but then there's also a day where you can just go for it, I think.
I mean, if you're cooking fresh from home and you know what's going in the produce, then it's absolutely fine. I mean, if you're going into a supermarket and buying, you know, products that have got 25, 30 ingredients on the back of it, you know, glucose syrup and, you know, sucralose and sweeteners and additives, then, yeah, it is going to affect your health. But if you're making things with whole foods, I mean, my jam sponge was made with oats, olive oil, eggs, natural whole foods, and, you know, it makes a huge difference to your health and you just feel better for it as well. But, yeah, I mean, there's a time and a place, and it's about being 85, 90% on it, being the best version of yourself. And then you're allowed a little bit of leeway here and there as well around the Christmas period.
Did you play? I mean, have you ever had issues with it? Probably not, but did players you play with have maybe come back after Christmas having probably indulged a little bit too much?
Eddie Howe always weighed us before and after. I mean, we didn't get a lot of time off, to be honest. We had games 26th, 28th, 31st and 2nd back in the daylight. So the schedule's a little bit easier, so to speak, at the moment. I know there's been a busy period in the build-up, lots of Champions League games and everything else in the Premier League. But I think these top athletes now in modern-day football, you've got to look after yourself, else you get found out.
You work with a lot of athletes. Sorry?
I'm saying it's a better schedule now.
No.
We used to hate that schedule you just described. That last game of the 4 was always
a bit of a dog, wasn't it?
Game,
You got a lot of 0-0s where players were flogged, certainly. But you work with a lot of different athletes and non-athletes, but especially if you're dealing with athletes and footballers. I mean, I'm sure they get a lot of guidance around this and diet, but what do you bring to the table? You're able to kind of teach them the right way to eat and the right way to refuel, and maybe ways they can do it themselves.
Yeah, and, you know, if you have a roast dinner, it's not unhealthy if you do it properly. You know, you can cook your own roast potatoes, your turkey, your broccoli, your carrots, parsnips. You can do it in the right manner. And it's not a one-suit-fits-all approach. It's whether you're an athlete, whether you're a businessman, woman, or teacher, whatever your job title. It's just portion control, and you can eat, you know, in moderation, the right foods, lots of colour, and your mental clarity, your performance, and your health will thank you for it. So it's just getting that balance right. And it's not about eating like a rabbit. It's about moving the body, eating well, and just feeling your best self.
So sorry, Paul, again, the players' routine then. So basically, you'd wake up and with kids, do the presents, do all that. Would you then go and have a proper Christmas dinner? Is that how it worked? And then meet up in the evening?
Yeah, so it changed for me. I mean, in the lower leagues, I remember a story when I was at Hereford. So I was at Hereford. I was living up north at the time. We spent Christmas with my wife's parents. I was in Rawtenstall, which was way up north. So I basically had lasagna. I travelled to Hereford. We had Torquay away. So I travelled to Hereford, ate my lasagna en route, got to Hereford, and then we travelled to Torquay. So I arrived at Torquay. I did our usual night before routine in the hotel, woke up the next morning, snowed, game cancelled. So that was an absolute stinker. But if I'm at home, you just have the usual routine, you know, try and stay in the best routine possible, go to bed and wake up at a similar time, have your Christmas period. And then I know we at Bournemouth, we had Brighton away one Christmas, so we had our day with the family, and then we'd travel in the evening to Brighton to prepare overnight for the game the following day. So it depends on the fixture. You just pray for a home fixture, really, just so you can stay in the best routine possible.
You go and do a bit of work with academies as well around the country, going into the clubs, teaching the guys healthy eating. I mean, are you finding attitudes there amongst young players are pretty sort of on message? Do they get they've really got to look after their bodies and eat well if they want to make it to the top?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm actually surprised that the the real lack of education in some areas, to be honest. I mean, if you've got nutritionists on site, the bigger clubs in the Championship, then they're worth the weight in gold. But yeah, some lads, they really struggle to know what to put in the body. They just think they can eat and eat and eat and eat the wrong foods because of that active. But I think it's important to get your balance of your carbs, your protein and your fats, and also fibre, vitamins and minerals as well to help aid that recovery. And I don't want to get too sciencey on here because we're on talkSPORT at the end of the day, but eating foods high in polyphenols and antioxidants will help aid recovery as well for athletes, especially around the festive period when it's games back to back, and you've got to be ready. Because in my younger days, when I wasn't as educated, I'd play on a Saturday, I'd get to the Tuesday night and I'd be like, why do I feel knackered here? And it was maybe the takeaway on a Saturday night and then the roast dinner on a Sunday, and too much food, too much of the wrong food.
Let's have a quick word before we let you go on Bournemouth. They're going through this bad trot at the moment. They just can't find a win. They probably did enough really to beat Burnley the other day, but couldn't get over the line. And Iraola was pretty frustrated by that.
I thought they played pretty well against United.
Yeah, I mean, are you at all concerned that they might get sucked into it or not?
I don't think they'll get sucked in, but yeah, it has been a slight concern because, I mean, last time I came on talkSPORT, I think it was about 2-3 months ago, I was like, they could make the top 4 here. And yeah, I probably put the curses on them, to be honest. And I put Semenyo in my fantasy team as well, and since then he hasn't scored in 5 games. I took him out and he scored, so I'm gonna keep him out, I think. So, but yeah, I mean, they've been dragged into it a little bit, and you know what it's like in the Premier League. It's confidence, and if they don't get that win on the board soon, then they might get dragged into it. But the beauty is, the bottom 3 at the minute, they're not performing well at all, so I can't see them picking too many points up.
And you expect Semenyo to be gone in January?
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, you look at Salah at Liverpool, it'd be a great replacement for Salah. I'm not sure whether he's going to be still at Liverpool. Who knows? But yeah, it'd be a great signing for anyone. Great lad, works hard. Does bits in both boxes. He's, you can kick on him. Goalkeeper can kick on him. He's got a great leap, and he's not just an attacking threat. He'll do the horrible stuff the other way as well.
Mark, good to talk to you. You can go and find thefoodiefootballer.com. That's all the information on what
great tips,
Mark does.
great advice.
Lots of tips, lots of recipes as well for healthy eating. Have a great Christmas. We'll catch up with you in the new year. All the best.
Thanks for having me on, lads. Have a good Christmas. Take care.
Mark Pugh there, the former Bournemouth winger. Our thanks to him. So one game remaining in the Premier League, and it's tonight at the Cottage. Fulham taking on Nottingham Forest. It's live on talkSPORT. Adrian Durham is there. Joe Shannon, Danny Murphy, your commentary team. And Max Scott's going to pop in to see us. He's been bringing us the sports news this afternoon, but he's a big Forest fan. He's off to the game. And we'll look at the state of play with Forest under Sean Dyche. Like Max was saying earlier, they've had a little bit of a break. I'm sure they've been doing a lot of running in that 8 days they've had off. But, we'll get the state of play with Forest heading into tonight's game. We're here with our good friends at Tool Station. Pick up your wet weather essentials today. Bless you. Next stop, Tool Station.
St James's Park. It's bouncing here for Newcastle United 2, Fulham 1.
Difficult one, disappointing the way we lost the game. It's what it is, we lost that game, we have to move on.
It's finished Forest 3, Spurs 0. Forest continuing their momentum under Sean Dyche, a 6th win in 8.
I only came in to work how I work with my staff. Never questioned other managers. It can happen. A run of bad results can happen in this division. I've been in it long enough, and equally, you can do that the other way, and you can put wins together, and go on a decent run.
Gibbs White takes a step back, runs up, right-footed, sends the keeper the wrong way, and Nottingham Forest lead by a goal to nil.
Then it's Sean Dyche and his Dyche really was.
Yeah. Well, a win tonight would take them above Fulham at Craven Cottage and give them an 8-point buffer on West Ham. Max Scott is who's been bringing us the sports this afternoon. He's a Forest fan. He's on the way at the game tonight. Max, I think going back, for those who haven't been kind of following it in great detail, you're a fan, you have been. What difference has Sean Dyche made since taking over from Ange? What are the kind of key things he's done, you think, that have turned things around for you?
Well, look, the most important thing is that since Dyche took over from the Premier League table from there, Forest are 6. He's had 12 games in charge.
Really?
Yeah. He's won 7 of them, 4 in the league, 3 in the Europa League. And so ultimately what Sean Dyche has done is he's made Forest a bit of a force this season. Now, look, we're still only just 5 points off the bottom 3. There's absolutely no complacency from my part when it comes to the fact that relegation is still a very real risk. You know how quickly things can turn. The Premier League this season has been sort of up and down, really sort of unpredictable, teams being inconsistent. But so it's results, right? But also, you said it just in the break, Andy. Sean Dyche loves being at Forest. We've mentioned it so many times, the fact that he was there as an academy boy, it's a part of his footballing heritage, his upbringing. He's loving it. And with Steve Stone and Ian Wone, the feel-good factor's back there with the fans, and there's a belief that with this squad, the best squad Sean Dyche has ever had on paper in his entire career, that the future looks bright.
It's interesting that you said they'd beat up to 6th if the season had started when Sean came in, because that is kind of where the squad was last year, 6th or 7th. It was kind of where...
And this is a squad that's been improved. 200 million quid's been spent in the summer.
It's not surprising, really. I mean, you have to say, Nuno, with his problems with the owner and Ange, drastically underperformed. So now they're playing to really their potential, I think.
Yeah, and sadly, the sort of table doesn't reflect that. But like you said earlier, Paul, a win and Forest are 8 points clear, and all of a sudden you feel like it's a bit of a season turner, a seminal moment for the season to then go and kick on. And with Forest just outside the top 8 in the Europa League, all of a sudden things begin to feel a little bit more positive. But the thing about Sean Dyche this season, I'd have to say, is because he's got, for my money, the best squad he's ever had, I think we're seeing a little bit more, the best of Sean Dyche. He's got the highest ever possession stats as a manager. We're pressing a lot more this season than under Nuno. And so all of those stats really, I think, reflect what Sean Dyche is really capable of. And I said this when he joined, I really think that this is an opportunity for him to not redefine, because this is still a Sean Dyche team, it's no nonsense, it's pragmatic, but to maybe change the perspective that people have of him as a manager.
Maybe not a bad time to play Fulham because of AFCON, no Chukwueze, no Iwobi, no Bassi. But they've
also got a good squad, like most teams in the Premier League.
Well, they still have Harry Wilson. Well, we were talking earlier on about Morgan Rogers, having these standout performances, not so much carrying the team, but, scoring the goals that matter, doing the things that matter. And he's a bit of a talisman for Fulham at the moment.
Yeah, and he's been a pest against us before, scoring, getting assists. I think Harry Wilson's a wonderful little player. And that almost sounds patronising, wonderful little. I don't mean that. He's a really good player. He does great for Wales. He captained them, scored on his debut as captain, and he's been a real nuisance for Forest. So, like I said, although I'm feeling really positive, and although on paper, when you've got Murillo, Milenkovic, Gibbs White, Anderson, Hudson-Odoi in your team, you'd think you're not going to get relegated, right?
Yeah.
Fulham are still a difficult side, and I know they've gone through a bit of a tricky period. And of course, the interesting thing is, managed by Marco Silva, who's been linked with Forest for about 5 consecutive years, or 5 consecutive years, lots of different managers. And so it's going to be an interesting one. And, since Forest returned to the Premier League in 2022, in the same season as Fulham, Forest have only beat Fulham once.
Yeah.
And that was in that real purple patch under Nuno last season, beat them 3-1 at home. So Craven Cottage hasn't been a happy hunting ground, but I think Sean Dyche is the sort of manager that can change those things because he's no nonsense and he's sort of reinstilled that belief in the players.
Finally, just a quick word on a couple of players. Dwight McNeil, there's a few stories suggesting that Sean Dyche could make a move for him. He's worked with him twice at Burnley, Everton. I think he got a bit of game time, but he's not featured much under David Moyes.
Good player.
And tell us what you make of that. And James McAtee, I was talking to you off air about him, who hasn't really got a look in. He probably, if Gibbs White had gone to Spurs, then he probably would have seen a lot more game time. But he's, what have you made of him so far? And would you be sad to see him move on?
Yeah, I would. It's so soon in his career. When he first arrived, he was the signing I was most excited about. And I still continue to back him because I've seen him play at City and at Sheffield United in the Championship. And I think he's a really talented player. I think his biggest challenge is, whilst he shone in the Championship on loan at Sheffield United, he's been removed from a very specific Pep Guardiola Man City system, maybe been mollycoddled by that a little bit. And he's got to find his own feet in a time at the club that's where there's been huge amounts of change, right? And so I just think give him time. There's been some reports that Besiktas are interested in signing him, but I think that for his future, particularly as an England player, he wants to be in the Premier League. And I think, sadly, there'll be a lot of change in terms of player personnel. You look at Gibbs, White, Anderson, maybe even Murillo in the summer. Yeah. I think next year, McAtee's got a real good chance of breaking through.
And Dwight McNeil, how do you feel about that potentially as adding to the squad?
Got Amari Hutchinson, though, haven't you?
Amari Hutchinson's been absolutely wonderful, by the way. Bided his time, minimal opportunities under maximum pressure, and now he looks like a week in, week out starter. But with Dwight McNeil, look, a bit like Sean Dyche, he's maybe a slightly underwhelming signing. But if we know that with players, it's all about time and it's all about the managers they play under. And so if Forrest and Sirianos, who's now been promoted to sporting director since Ross Wilson has gone, if they see that as a shrewd signing, then you've got to back the club, because in recent seasons, Forest have got their transfers right, and that's the reason we're playing European football and the reason that Sean Dyche has been able to have such an immediate impact, because the players are so good.
Well, enjoy the game, Max.
Can't wait.
Thanks very much. Max is off to the cottage, as is Alex, who's working with us. He's actually commentating on the game tonight from the Fulham point of view. So it should be an interesting match.
Your microphone wasn't up during that bit.
Yeah. So it turned you down.
Yeah, and the camera wasn't on me.
Yeah.
Gestures I was giving it.
We've got it for you live, all the build-up from 7, 8 o'clock kickoff. You can react in the sports bar. So Shaban's up next alongside Rory Jennings with Drive. I'll be back here with Charlie tomorrow. Andy will be back Wednesday for the Christmas Eve party with a few of the listeners joining us in the studio as is traditional. Until then, have a good night.